Sentiasa di dalam mood senyap. Yang kedua, hadirin digalakkan untuk mengaktifkan kamera dan menggunakan latar belakang yang telah disediakan sepanjang majlis berlangsung. Segala kerjasama yang diberikan oleh hadirin sekalian didahului dengan ucapan terima kasih.
Oh, takkan macam tu.
Guna telefon pun boleh. Sama suara. Dengar. Slow. Dengar. Okey.
Hadirin sekalian, di sini terdapat beberapa pengumuman. Yang pertama, mohon kerjasama hadirin untuk memastikan mikrofon anda sentiasa di dalam mood senyap. Yang kedua, hadirin digalakkan untuk mengaktifkan kamera dan menggunakan latar belakang yang telah disediakan sepanjang majlis berlangsung. Segala kerjasama yang diberikan oleh hadirin sekalian didahului dengan ucapan terima kasih. Hadirin, majlis mengumumkan ketibaan yang berbahagia Profesor Madya Dr. Muhammad Suzrin Mat Jamil, Timbalan Naib Chancellor Hal Ehwal Pelajar dan Alumni ke ruang bicara. Yang berbahagia Profesor Madya Dr. Muhammad Suzrin Mat Jamil, Timbalan Naib Chancellor Hal Ehwal Pelajar dan Alumni. Yang berusaha Profesor Teknologis Dr. Muhammad Rahimi bin Yusof, Pengetua Kolej Pendeta Za'ba. Yang berusaha Dr. Darman Nuruddin, Timbalan Pengetua Kolej Pendeta Za'ba. Encik Muhammad Hishamuddin Khairuddin, Ketua Pentadbiran Kolej Pendeta Za'ba. Cik Nurul Fatimah Muhammad Narjun, Penolong Pegawai Takbir Kolej Pendeta Za'ba. Yang dihormati Barisan Fellow Kolej Pendeta Za'ba, Barisan Majlis Eksekutif Pelajar Kolej Pendeta Za'ba, guru-guru, para peserta, seterusnya hadirin dan hadirat sekalian. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera dan salam pewaris keunggulan pendeta. Mencari timba si anak dara di bawah sarang turuh tempua. Salam sembah pembuka bicara. Selamat datang untuk semua. Alhamdulillah, segala puji dan setinggi syukur dipanjatkan kehadrat Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala kerana dengan izin serta anugerah kesihatan yang diberikannya dapat kita bersama-sama berkumpul pada hari ini bagi memeriahkan majlis pembukaan Cabaran Debat Za'ba 2023 secara atas talian.
Seterusnya, para hadirin diminta bersedia bagi menyanyikan lagu negaraku dan lagu varsiti kita. lebat kemiri pohonnya rendah, dahan terikat tali perkasa. 10 jari kami menajah, mohon berkat yang Maha Esa. Bagi memberkati majlis kita pada hari ini, marilah kita bersama-sama menadah tangan mengaminkan bacaan doa yang akan dipimpin oleh saudara Muhammad Nashrik Haikal bin Nurhalis. Majlis dengan segala hormatnya mempersilakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Al-Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma innaka khalaqul azim, innaka sami'un alim, innaka ghafurur rahim, innaka rabbul arsyil azim. Ya Allah, Engkaulah yang mempunyai segala kepujian. Engkaulah yang berhak menerima segala kepujian. Engkaulah yang berhak menerima segala kesyukuran. Engkaulah yang memiliki segala pemerintahan, di tangan Engkau segala kebajikan. Kepada Engkaulah kembali segala urusan. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, limpahkanlah rahmat dan rahim-Mu ke atas majlis cabaran debat Za'ba tahun 2023 yang akan diadakan pada hari ini. Berkatilah majlis ini dari awal hingga akhirnya. Ya Allah, bersempena dengan majlis pada hari ini, kami memohon inayah dan taufik-Mu. Kurniakanlah kesejahteraan dan kebahagiaan kepada kami. Bukakanlah hati-hati kami, lapangkanlah dada kami supaya kami dapat mengisi ilmu dan pengetahuan yang berguna untuk agama, bangsa dan negara. Ya Allah, kami memohon kepadamu agar Engkau berkatilah majlis ini dengan limpahan rahmat-Mu. Semoga segala usaha kami dalam menjayakan majlis ini mendapat keredaan dan hidayah-Mu. Sesungguhnya pada hari ini kami berkumpul kerana-Mu, Ya Allah. Kami berkumpul untuk menimba ilmu, bertukar pendapat, menyumbangkan buah fikiran dan menghubungkan silaturahim. Rabbana alaika tawakkalna wa ilaikal abna wa ilaikal masir. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi washabbihi wasallam. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Amin.
Amin, amin ya Rabbal Alamin. Majlis merakamkan ucapan terima kasih kepada saudara Muhammad Nashrik Haikal di atas bacaan doa sebentar tadi.
Za'ba International Debate Challenge 2023 atau Pertandingan Cabaran Debat Za'ba 2023 merupakan program anjuran tahunan eksekutif akademik Majlis Eksekutif Pelajar Kolej Pendeta Za'ba Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Pertandingan cabaran debat Za'ba ini merupakan suatu program yang mencabar kemahiran berfikir dan kemahiran berkomunikasi para peserta serta menjadi platform yang baik untuk para peserta bertukar-tukar idea yang bernas dalam medan perdebatan sama ada dalam bahasa Melayu maupun bahasa Inggeris. Cabaran debat Za'ba pada kali ini akan mengekalkan kategori bahasa Melayu dan kategori bahasa Inggeris. Program ini bertujuan untuk mencungkil bakat-bakat baharu dalam dunia perdebatan serta menyediakan perkongsian ilmu antara mahasiswa-mahasiswi UKM serta pelajar-pelajar institusi pendidikan seluruh Malaysia dan negara-negara ASEAN.
Daun semulur di Pekansari, batang jerami rebah ke bumi. Madah dihulur, sembah diberi, kata perasmi hajatnya kami. Hadirin sekalian, majlis dengan ini menjemput yang berbahagia Prof. Madya Dr. Muhammad Suzirin Mat Jamil, Timbalan Naib Chancellor Al-Ehwal Pelajar dan Alumni bagi merasmikan pembukaan cabaran Debat Za'ba 2023.
Okey, terima kasih kepada saudara dan saudari pengacara majlis. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam pewaris watan, salam pewaris keunggulan Pendeta Za'ba. Yang berusaha Profesor Teknologi Dr. Muhammad Rahim Yusof, Pengetua Kolej Pendeta Za'ba, Dr. Darman Notin, Timbalan Pengetua Kolej Pendeta Za'ba, Encik Muhammad Syamuddin Khairuddin, Ketua Pentadbiran KPZ, Encik Nurul Fatimah Muhammad Narjun, Penolong Pegawai Tadbir KPZ, yang dihormati Encik Aina Nur Balkis Marzuki, Pengarah Program Cabaran Debat Za'ba 2023, Barisan Fellow, Barisan Majlis Eksekutif Pelajar KPZ, guru-guru pengiring, para peserta dan seterusnya, hadirin dan hadirat yang saya hormati sekalian. Alhamdulillah, dengan limpah izin dan kurnianya dapat kita bersama-sama berkumpul secara dalam talian dalam majlis pembukaan Cabaran Debat Za'ba 2023 ini. Terlebih dahulu saya ingin mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada pihak urustia majlis kerana sudi menjemput saya bagi merasmikan pembukaan Cabaran Debat Za'ba pada kali ini, yang merupakan satu penghormatan dan penghargaan bagi saya sendirilah. Di kesempatan ini juga saya amat berbesar hati dan mengalu-alukan kehadiran hadirin sekalian dalam menyerikan lagi majlis pada pagi ini. Semoga penganjuran program ini dapat berjalan dengan lancar dan jayanya sehingga ke pengakhiran. Hadirin sekalian, pada tahun ini pertandingan Cabaran Debat Za'ba julung kali diadakan di peringkat antarabangsa dan cabaran yang bertemakan memacu keterampilan pelajar dalam pendidikan ala baru. Selari dengan konsep ini, Cabaran Debat Za'ba pada kali ini bertujuan untuk melahirkan personaliti generasi-generasi yang berketerampilan dalam pelbagai aspek. Di akhir program ini, kami mengharapkan pelajar-pelajar ini mampu membuat satu anjakan dalam diri mereka setelah mendepani pelbagai persaingan sepanjang program ini. Saya masih ingat lagi untuk Cabaran Debat Za'ba ni yang saban tahun kita adakan. Kalau dulu pelajar-pelajar berkumpul di Dekta daripada pelbagai, khususnya daripada sekolah-sekolah, dan banyak juga ataupun ramai juga yang daripada sekolah-sekolah yang berprestasi tinggi, asma penuh dan sebagainya, bertanding di Dewan Za'ba. Dan kita dapat lihat kemeriahan di kalangan peserta-peserta dalam memastikan memberi satu cabaran dan juga saingan yang terbaik dalam Cabaran Debat Za'ba 2023. Pada tahun kali ini, kita masih lagi mengekalkan konsep secara dalam talian. Mungkin pada tahun depan, kita dapat kembali memeriahkan Cabaran Debat Za'ba ini di Dekta dan berjumpa secara fizikal dan kembali untuk memeriahkan Cabaran Debat Za'ba ini sekali lagi secara fizikal, insyaAllah pada tahun depan. Sebelum saya mengakhiri ucapan saya ingin mengingatkan kepada para peserta bahawa sudah menjadi adat bagi setiap pertandingan sama ada memperoleh kemenangan atau menghadapi kekalahan. Kepada pasukan yang tidak berjaya ke peringkat akhir kelak, ketahuilah bahawa langkah anda tidak akan berhenti di sini, malah jadikan ia sebagai titik permulaan untuk anda mencorak langkah agar terus bersinar di dunia perdebatan. Akhir kata, saya ingin mengucapkan semoga berjaya kepada semua para peserta yang akan berjuang dalam merebut gelaran Johan bagi Cabaran Debat Za'ba 2023. Tanpa melengahkan masa, dengan lafaz Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, saya dengan ini merasmikan majlis pembukaan Cabaran Debat Za'ba 2023. Sekian, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Majlis merakamkan ucapan terima kasih kepada yang berbahagia Profesor Madya Dr. Muhammad Suzrin Mat Jamil, Din Balai Naib Chancellor Hal Ehwal Pelajar dan Alumni atas ucapan dan perasmian pembukaan Cabaran Debat Za'ba 2023 sebentar tadi.
Hadirin sekalian, sebagai pelengkap majlis kita pada hari ini, majlis diteruskan lagi dengan tayangan video montaj yang telah disediakan oleh Esko Multimedia. Mari sama-sama kita saksikan.
Sudilah Tuan jalan berlapan di malam gelap. Sudilah Tuan memberi ucapan, kata alwan pemanis kalam. Hadirin yang dihormati, bagi melengkapkan perjalanan majlis kita pada hari ini, majlis dengan rasa bangga menjemput yang dihormati Saudari Aina Nur Balkish binti Marzuki merangkap Ketua Pengarah Program Cabaran Debat Za'ba 2023 bagi memberikan ucapan. Majlis mempersilakan.
Baiklah, terima kasih kepada saudara serta saudari penyempurnaan majlis. Yang berbahagia Profesor Madya Dr. Muhammad Suzurin bin Muhammad Jamil, Timbalan Naib Chancellor Hal Ehwal Pelajar dan Alumni Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Yang berusaha Profesor Teknologis Dr. Muhammad Rahimi bin Yusof, Pengetua Kolej Militer Za'ba, Dr. Darman bin Nordin, Timbalan Pengetua Kolej Militer Za'ba, Encik Muhammad Hishamuddin Khairuddin, Ketua Pentadbiran Kolej Militer Za'ba, Cik Nurul Fatimah Muhammad Narjun, Penolong Pegawai Takbir Kolej Pendidikan Za'ba. Yang dihormati, Barisan Fellow, Barisan Majlis Eksekutif Pelajar, para guru pengiring, para peserta dan seterusnya hadirin serta hadirat sekalian. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Pewaris keunggulan pendeta. Terlebih dahulu, marilah kita bersama-sama memanjatkan kesyukuran kehadrat Allah SWT kerana dengan limpah kurnianya dapat kita bersama-sama hadir dalam majlis pembukaan Cabaran Debat Za'ba 2023. Di kesempatan ini, saya ingin mengucapkan setinggi-tinggi penghargaan dan juga jutaan terima kasih kepada semua pihak yang sudi meluangkan masa untuk hadir pada hari ini walaupun ianya diadakan secara asal. Hadirin yang dihormati sekalian, untuk pengetahuan anda semua, tahun 2023 ini merupakan anjuran tahun ke-6 Cabaran Debat Za'ba ini dijalankan. Dan pada khidmat saya, pertandingan ini merupakan suatu platform persediaan yang baik untuk para pendebat muda mengasah kemahiran serta pengetahuan mereka sebelum mereka menyertai pertandingan debat-debat seumpama ini di peringkat yang lebih tinggi. Oleh hal yang demikian adalah sangat wajar untuk para pelajar serta guru-guru yang aktif sekalian dalam dunia perdebatan untuk sentiasa menyokong dan juga menyertai program Cabaran Debat Za'ba ini pada tahun-tahun yang akan datang. Hadirin sekalian, selaras dengan tema pertandingan debat pada tahun ini iaitu memacu keterampilan pelajar dalam pendidikan ala baharu, program ini beraspirasi untuk melahirkan lebih ramai pelajar yang berketerampilan serta dapat menyinarkan bakat baharu dalam arena perdebatan. Saya selaku Ketua Pengarah program pada tahun ini berharap agar program ini dapat memberikan manfaat dan juga impak yang amat besar kepada semua peserta yang terlibat. Semoga para peserta dapat terus bergiat dan mencukil kemahiran dalam seni perdebatan ini kerana sememangnya daripada kemahiran inilah pemikiran kritis dan juga matang para wartawan akan terhasil. Akhir kata, saya ingin ucapkan selamat berjaya kepada semua peserta pertandingan Cabaran Debat Za'ba 2023. Semoga anda semua memperoleh kejayaan dan juga pengalaman yang dapat dimanfaatkan dengan baik pada masa hadapan. Sekian sahaja daripada saya. Terima kasih dan Assalamualaikum.
Majlis merakamkan setinggi-tinggi ucapan terima kasih di atas ucapan yang telah diberikan oleh Yang Dihormati Saudari Aina Nur Balkish binti Marzuki merangkap Ketua Pengarah Program Cabaran Debat Za'ba 2023 sebentar tadi.
Hadirin sekalian, saya dengan ini menyerahkan majlis kepada Esko Program dan Kehakiman bagi memulakan sesi taklimat kepada para peserta program Cabaran Debat Za'ba 2023. Dengan segala hormatnya, dipersilakan.
Terima kasih pengacara majlis, Saudara Farhan. Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera saya ucapkan kepada semua jawatan kuasa CDZ dan warga sekolah yang bersama-sama kita pada majlis pembukaan Cabaran Debat Za'ba bagi tahun 2023. Saya selaku diberi mandat sebagai Exco Program Asul bin Jabar akan menyampaikan sedikit sebanyak mengenai maklumat pertandingan ini. Pertamanya, saya nak maklumkan bahawa atas beberapa pertimbangan dan kekangan yang dihadapi oleh pihak penganjur, suatu tarikh baharu telah ditetapkan oleh pihak penganjur bagi pusingan separuh akhir dan pusingan akhir untuk kedua-dua kategori debat iaitu debat bahasa Melayu dan juga debat bahasa Inggeris. Tarikh baharu yang telah dipindah ialah 30 Mei 2023 yang mana sebelum ini tarikh bagi pusingan separuh akhir dan pusingan akhir ialah 31 Mei. Seterusnya ialah tarikh bagi pendaftaran secara fizikal oleh peserta yang marah ke pusingan separuh akhir ke Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Untuk makluman tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, pasukan yang berjaya marah ke pusingan separuh akhir bagi kedua kategori debat hendaklah mendaftar secara fizikal di Kolej Pendeta Za'ba, Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia pada 29 Mei. Pada 29 Mei ini, terdapat dua sesi pendaftaran untuk pendaftaran secara fizikal yang dilaksanakan iaitu sesi pagi yang mana bermula pada jam 9 pagi hingga 12.30 hari. Bagi sesi kedua pula, pendaftaran akan bermula pada jam 2.30 petang hingga 5.30 petang. Diingatkan sekali lagi, kedua-dua sesi pendaftaran ini akan berlangsung pada 29 Mei. Sekiranya ada antara sekolah dan pasukan yang mempunyai masalah dengan tarikh pendaftaran tersebut, bolehlah berhubung secara terus dengan urus setia kami. Selain itu, bagi pasukan-pasukan yang berjaya marah ke pusingan akhir ataupun ke pusingan separuh akhir yang mana akan dijalankan secara bersemuka di Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, pihak penganjur akan menyediakan makanan, minuman dan penginapan sepanjang pusingan separuh akhir dan pusingan akhir berlangsung. Khususnya untuk 4 peserta dan 1 guru pengiring bagi setiap pasukan yang berjaya marah ke pusingan separuh akhir. Sekian itu sahaja daripada taklimat berkenaan pertandingan ini daripada saya. Semua persoalan boleh diajukan sewaktu sesi soal jawab berlangsung selepas ini. Oleh itu, saya serahkan semula majlis kepada pengacara majlis kita iaitu Encik Nik Muhammad Farhan. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih diucapkan kepada Exco Program dan Kehakiman atas taklimat sebentar tadi. Seterusnya, taklimat akan diteruskan lagi di bawah pimpinan pihak Unit Perucapan Umum dan pihak Debate Club UKM. Bagi peserta debat bahasa Melayu, anda diminta untuk terus kekal di halaman utama ruangan Zoom, manakala bagi peserta debat bahasa Inggeris, anda diminta untuk masuk ke breakout room yang telah disediakan.
Baik, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera buat semua pendebat, guru-guru pengiring dan AJK Universiti yang terlibat. Kita akan mulakan sesi taklimat kita jam 9.30 pagi. Kita berikan masa terlebih dahulu kepada guru-guru dan juga para pendebat untuk mengambil tempat masing-masing. Seperti yang sudah dimaklumkan, untuk para peserta untuk debat bahasa Inggeris ataupun English debate boleh terus masuk ke dalam breakout room untuk sesi taklimat bersama dengan English Debate Club UKM. Manakala untuk peserta bahasa Melayu terus kekal di dalam main Zoom room ini untuk kita teruskan taklimat bagi kategori bahasa Melayu. Baik, mungkin kita akan start dalam masa 2 minit dengan roll call terlebih dahulu daripada urus setia pertandingan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Jadi saya akan mulakan sesi taklimat dengan roll call kehadiran sekolah terlebih dahulu. Jadi diminta wakil sekolah untuk beri respon. Sekolah yang pertama, Sekolah Menengah Sains Banting, kumpulan A dan B, ada tak? Ada. Minta wakil untuk respon tau.
Yes.
Okey. Sekolah Menengah Sains Tun Said Sheikh Shahabuddin, ada tak?
Ada.
Sekolah Menengah Sains Alam Shah. Okey. Sekolah Menengah Sains Rembau.
Ada.
Sekolah Menengah Sains Selangor.
Hadir.
MRC TGB. MRC TGB.
Ada.
Okay. SBPI Gombak.
Ada.
MRSM Kuala Terengganu. Allah. Okey. Sekolah Menengah Agama Persekutuan Kajang A dan B.
Ada.
Sekolah Tuanku Abdul Rahman.
Ada. Tak ada.
Sekolah Menengah Sains Seri Puteri.
Ada.
Kolej Tunku Kursia.
KC hadir.
Okey. MRSM Kubang Pasu.
Hadir.
Sekolah Menengah Sains Kuching Utara.
Hadir.
Sekolah Sultan Alam Shah A dan B.
Hadir.
MRSM Kuantan.
Ada.
KYS.
KYS ada tak?
Ada.
Okey. MRSM bahagian Datuk?
Ada.
MRSM Subes?
Ada.
SBPI Rawang A dan B? Ada tak? SBPI Rawang? Satu. Okey, kita teruskan. Sekolah Menengah Sains Teluk Intan?
Ada.
MRSM Pendang?
Ada.
MCKK?
Ada.
Sekolah Menengah Sains Hulu Selangor?
Ada.
SMKA Tun Ahmad Shah?
Ada.
Okey. Sekolah Menengah Agama Persekutuan Bentung?
Super ada.
Ada? Okey.
Ada.
Sekolah Menengah Setia Budi?
Ada.
Okey. SMS Tengku Muhammad Faris Petra? A dan B ada?
Hadir.
Mahat Tafiz Negeri Pahang? A dan B ada?
Ada.
SBPI Kubang Pasu?
Ada.
Mutiara Integrated Secondary School? MIS? Ada tak?
Ada.
Okey. Dan terakhir Sekolah Tun Fatimah? A dan B ada?
Ada.
SBPI Rawang ada ke tak? SBPI Rawang tak ada. Okey. Ada tak sekolah yang tertinggal nama? Rasanya tak ada kan? Okay. Jadi kita akan teruskan sesi taklimat. Persilakan.
Baik, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera saya ucapkan. Pertama sekali, terima kasih selamat datang ke Cabaran Debat Za'ba 2023 bagi kategori Bahasa Melayu. Kepada semua pendebat-pendebat, peserta-peserta, guru-guru pengiring sekolah-sekolah yang telah mendaftar secara rasmi untuk menjadi pesaing bagi merebut gelaran juara Cabaran Debat Za'ba pada tahun ini. Saya perkenalkan diri saya dahulu. Saya Muhammad Iman bin Azhar. Anda boleh panggil saya Iman sepanjang kejohanan ini. Jadi dalam kejohanan ini saya akan bertindak sebagai penyelaras bagi pertandingan Bahasa Melayu untuk kita pastikan perancangan, perjalanan dan semua apa yang telah kita rancang untuk Cabaran Debat Za'ba bagi kategori Bahasa Melayu ini dapat dijalankan dengan lancar dan tertibnya. Jadi pada pagi ini kita akan buat secara sangat ringkas. Sebelum mungkin kita akan bagi masa kepada adik-adik semua untuk terus training, untuk teruskan lagi latihan-latihan anda sebelum menghadapi cabaran yang sebenar pada hari esok. Jadi pagi ini kita akan buat taklimat perjalanan pertandingan dan kita akan buka ruang untuk sesi soal jawab bersama Ketua Hakim Pertandingan. Jadi saya nak guru-guru, para peserta memanfaatkan sesi taklimat pada pagi ini untuk ajukan soalan-soalan yang mungkin akan berbangkit ketika hari pertandingan kepada Ketua Hakim Pertandingan. Kerana Ketua Hakim Pertandingan lah orang yang akan ada jawapannya, orang yang tahu dan mempunyai budi bicara, pertimbangan dan sebagainya kepada apa-apa sahaja perjalanan dan yang akan berlaku dalam Cabaran Debat Za'ba pada tahun 2023 ini. Jadi mungkin saya boleh perkenalkan terlebih dahulu Ketua Hakim. Ketua Hakim bagi pertandingan Cabaran Debat Za'ba pada tahun ini yang telah kita lantik secara rasmi adalah Encik Amar Sahazubi. Encik Amar Sahazubi merupakan alumni debat daripada Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia yang mana kita telah melantik beliau secara rasmi melihatkan kepada kapasiti, keupayaan beliau dan juga rekod-rekod kecemerlangan beliau sepanjang menyertai pertandingan-pertandingan debat ketika beliau bergelar pendebat lah satu ketika dahulu. Jadi melihatkan kepada kapasiti dan juga ciri-ciri yang telah dimiliki oleh Encik Amar ini, kita melihat bahawa beliau bersedia untuk mengemudi pasukan kehakiman, panel-panel kehakiman bagi memastikan ketertiban, keadilan dan juga segala apa yang berkaitan dengan penjurian akan dilaksanakan secara adil dan saksama pada penganjuran pada sesi kali ini. Dan risau sekali lagi Encik Amar sendiri akan ada ruang untuk terus bercerita, bertaklimat kepada anda, termasuk untuk kita buka ruang untuk sebarang sesi soal jawab. Baik, selesai untuk kita perkenalkan Ketua Hakim, kita pergi kepada yang seterusnya. Baik, yang seterusnya adalah saya mungkin akan memberikan taklimat perjalanan untuk perjalanan secara atas talian. Untuk perjalanan anda untuk datang ke UKM bagi peserta yang akan layak ke separuh akhir itu, kita akan laksanakan kepada kelompok-kelompok yang layak ke pusingan separuh akhir kemudian. Okey, jadi saya harap anda akan peka kepada atur cara pertandingan, terutama untuk pusingan secara atas talian. Sebab adik-adik peserta semua tak ada di sekeliling kami. Kalau secara fizikal, kami bolehlah pergi ketuk pintu anda untuk datang ke tempat bertanding. Tapi anda di tempat masing-masing, anda di sekolah masing-masing, jadi kita sangat memerlukan komitmen anda untuk mematuhi masa, untuk memastikan anda berada tepat dalam bilik roll call pada waktu-waktu yang telah kita tetapkan. Okay? Jadi, perdebatan kita akan bermula pada hari esok, 17 Mei 2023 pada hari Rabu. Pada 9 pagi, kita akan laksanakan roll call dan kuarantin untuk pusingan yang pertama. Okey, yang mana habis sahaja roll call ni apa? Macam tadi yang Kak Nisa buat. Okey, kita akan sebut satu persatu nama sekolah yang bertanding. Kita nak minta kehadiran dan besar kemungkinan kita based on pengalaman kita. Okey, terima kasih Cik Adif. Okey, kita take note SBP Rawang sudah ada. Okey, jadi untuk adik-adik semua, kita tahu saja mungkin ada kemungkinan kalian ada masalah capaian internet, ada masalah berkaitan dengan kalian nak masuk Zoom. Jadi sebab itu kalau roll call mula 9 pagi, biasanya kita akan buka roll call room ni lebih awal, 8.30 kita dah buka dah. Jadi cubalah akses seawal mungkin supaya kalian tak tertinggal maklumat-maklumat penting, dan biasanya kalau selagi pasukan tidak lengkap, kita memang tak boleh mulakan lagi pusingan taklimat atau roll call untuk kuarantin pusingan itu. Sebab kita tak nak ada isu berkaitan dengan lambat dapat usul, lambat dapat match up dan sebagainya. Jadi saya sangat harapkan anda mematuhi masa. Okey, selepas sesi roll call kuarantin pusingan 1, kita akan ke pusingan yang pertama pada 9.30 pagi dan dijangka akan tamat dalam lebih kurang pukul 10.30. Jadi habis saja sesi pusingan pertama, pukul 11 pagi kita akan masuk semula untuk roll call untuk masuk ke kuarantin pusingan yang kedua. Okey, kiranya dia macam akan berterusan lah sebab kita nak selesaikan semuanya di 11 siang. 3 pusingan sehingga petang lah. Jadi kita akan masuk ke kuarantin ke pusingan yang kedua, dan apabila habis sahaja kuarantin, pusingan 2 bermula pada 11.30 pagi, kita jangka pada pukul 1 petang tamat, anda boleh rehat, solat Zuhur. Kemudian kita akan panggil anda semula untuk masuk roll call pada 2.30 petang esok. Dan untuk kita buat kuarantin pusingan ketiga, sebelum kita akan tamatkan pada 11 petang, iaitu pada 4.30 petang kita akan bersurailah. Jadi format debat ini memang kita akan buat pada waktu pagi dan petang. Tidak akan ada melibatkan waktu malam. Jadi malam itu anda boleh peruntukkan masa untuk anda berlatih, untuk anda perbaiki apa sahaja yang berlaku pada pagi ataupun petang Rabu tersebut. Baik, kita ke hari kedua. Hari kedua, 18 hari bulan 5 2023 pada hari Khamis. Mula pukul 9 pagi juga kita akan buat roll call dan kuarantin pada pusingan untuk pusingan yang keempat. Okey, jadi adik-adik, biasa untuk pusingan keempat dan kelima ni, pusingan ni dah masuk pusingan yang kita panggil sangat crucial. Pusingan-pusingan yang nak menentukan anda layak ataupun tidak kepada pusingan suku akhir. Jadi, saya lagi sekali nak harap anda semua jaga momentum walaupun hari ni hari yang kedua. Sebab saya nak bagi tahu awal-awal okey, kebiasaannya yang boleh berlaku adalah okey, tiba-tiba, okey, ada pasukan yang pada hari pertama mereka tak ada menang satu pun match. Contoh, hari pertama 3 pusingan, 3 pusingan mereka dilanda badai dengan kekalahan. Okey, jadi mungkin akan timbul persoalan macam dah tak ada harapan je masuk suku akhir, kita tarik dirilah. Okey, jadi perkara itu adalah perkara yang ditegah sama sekali, dilarang oleh pihak penganjur, dan ada kemungkinan jika anda melakukan perkara tersebut, nama anda akan disenarai hitamkan daripada pertandingan-pertandingan siri yang akan datang. Okey, sebab once anda memilih keputusan itu, anda akan mengganggu sistem pertandingan. Anda akan mengganggu jumlah pasukan yang bertanding, yang mungkin akan menyebabkan pasukan-pasukan yang akan berjumpa dengan anda akan easy win, menang dengan sangat mudah dengan margin yang paling tinggi. Jadi untuk mengelakkan perkara tersebut, bersainglah secara sihat bukan sebab menang semata-mata tapi sebab nak menimba sesuatu dalam pertandingan cabaran debat Za'ba pada kali ini. Jadi untuk pusingan yang kelima, okey, sebelah petang, pusingan ini setakat yang saya bincang, yang saya dapat info, pusingan ini adalah pusingan senyap. Okey, pusingan senyap ni apa maksudnya? Pusingan senyap ini adalah pusingan yang mana kita tidak akan umumkan keputusan di bilik hakim ataupun di bilik sidang anda. Iaitu kita lepas pusingan 5, okey, kita mungkin akan terus panggil anda ke dalam bilik roll call semula untuk kita umumkan pasukan-pasukan yang layak ke pusingan suku akhir, iaitu seramai 8 pasukan yang terbaik. So daripada 40 pasukan untuk ke suku akhir, anda perlu jaga momentum anda untuk kekal berada di top 8. Top 8 inilah yang akan layak ke bracket suku akhir yang seterusnya. Jadi saya harap tim-tim anda semua bersedia untuk memastikan anda layak ke pusingan suku akhir. Untuk pusingan suku akhir ni pula, kita akan mula pada 2:30 petang. Okey, untuk 8 pasukan sahaja. Okey, dan kita akan tamat pada pukul 4:30 petang. Tapi jangan bersurai. Habis saja, kita akan notify balik semua pasukan suku akhir untuk masuk ke dalam bilik roll call. Okey, sebab kita tidak akan umumkan keputusan pusingan suku akhir di dalam bilik masing-masing. Kita akan panggil semula roll call untuk kita umumkan 4 pasukan yang terbaik yang akan layak ke pusingan separuh akhir yang akan dilaksanakan secara fizikal di Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Okey, jadi saya harap anda-anda semua faham dengan atur cara pertandingan untuk kedua-dua hari. Okey, jadi ada apa-apa soalan tak untuk atur cara pertandingan 2 hari ini? Okey, kalau ada yang nak bertanya, raise hand ke, buka mic, perkenalkan diri dari sekolah mana, boleh tanya untuk atur cara sebelum kita ke taklimat yang seterusnya. Okey, kalau tak ada soalan, saya yakin semua orang sangat faham, sangat tahu dan perlu cakna dengan jadual ini. Jadual ini pun telah diserahkan dengan sangat lebih awal walaupun ada pindaan tapi kita dah serahkan yang terbaru. Jadi jadikan rujukan dalam grup, kita ada bagi kepada guru pengiring. Saya harap guru pengiring boleh untuk serahkan kepada semua anak-anak peserta. Baik, terima kasih. Kita akan teruskan kepada slide yang seterusnya. Slide yang seterusnya adalah berkaitan dengan pembayang tema usul yang mana kita telah kemas kini dan kita telah mula edarkan pada 11 Mei 2023. Okey, ada soalan yang saya dapatlah yang diberikan kepada esko pendaftaran lah, esko program lah. Adakah yang dalam bracket sebelah tema itu adalah usul yang akan didebatkan? Jawapannya tidak. Itu hanyalah pembayang. Maksud pembayang adalah konsep itu akan menjadi usul. Maksudnya daripada apa yang diletakkan sebagai pembayang itulah yang akan diinterpretasikan dalam bentuk usul perdebatan. Jadi menjadi tugas anda, saya yakin semua dah dapat dah perkara ini sebab kita dah edarkan dengan lebih awal untuk kaji tema, pembayang dan untuk pastikan anda mengetahui isu-isu yang sesuai untuk didebatkan. Dan kebanyakan isu-isu ini sebab tema pembayang ini disediakan oleh Ketua Hakim Pertandingan adalah isu-isu kontemporari, isu-isu semasa. Jadi debatlah menggunakan isu-isu yang tepat sebab itulah fungsi kita edarkan lebih awal tema dan pembayang walaupun rule dia sepatutnya adalah usul hanya akan diberikan 30 minit sebelum. Okey, tapi atas faktor kita nak menjaga mutu dan kualiti pertandingan ini, kita edarkan tema dan pembayang dengan lebih awal. Ada apa-apa persoalan tak untuk pembayang dan tema usul yang kita edarkan? Tapi soalan tu janganlah tanya saya usul yang macam mana yang akan datang. Itu based on pengalaman, okay, jurulatih anda dan sebagainya, anda boleh rujuk dan tanya. Okey, jadi kita ke slide yang seterusnya. Okey, ini adalah slide yang terakhir sebelum saya akan serahkan kepada Ketua Hakim Pertandingan untuk sesi taklimat penerangan tentang sistem power match dan sebagainya. Okey, jadi untuk peraturan dan syarat asas kategori bahasa Melayu. Okey, untuk kelayakan, saya yakin semua sudah berdaftar. Okey, tak ada isu dan tak ada masalah. Jadi, kita just nak highlight sebab benda-benda ini biasanya akan menjadi pertanyaan dan bantahan pada hari kejadian. Pertama, peserta mestilah merupakan pelajar semasa bagi sekolah yang mendaftar sebagai peserta bagi pertandingan ini. Maksudnya tak naklah tiba-tiba ada alumni ke yang tiba-tiba naik sidang, yang tiba-tiba tutup kamera tanpa kita tahu dan dia yang berdebatkan untuk pelajar-pelajar yang mewakili sekolah tersebut. Jadi kita sangat highlightkan merupakan pelajar semasa bagi sekolah-sekolah yang berdaftar sebagai peserta. Pertama. Kedua, setiap pasukan terdiri daripada 3 orang pendebat dan 1 orang pendebat simpanan. Kenapa kita asingkan? Kenapa kita tak tulis setiap pasukan terdiri daripada 4 orang pendebat? Sebab 1 orang pendebat simpanan ni adalah optional, terpulang. Kalau sekolah anda ada, ada. Kalau tak ada, tak apa. Yang compulsory ataupun yang wajib adalah 3 orang pendebat itu. Sebab 3 orang pendebat ini yang akan always naik ke dalam pusingan sidang, betul? Okey, untuk yang ketiga, semua anggota pasukan hendaklah terdiri daripada pelajar sekolah yang sama. Maksudnya tak adalah korang mix and match. Maksudnya tak adalah korang ambil sikit daripada sini, ambil sikit daripada sana, bentuk satu pasukan. Dan saya yakin benda tu tak terjadilah. Tapi kita hanya peringatkan kepada anda. Dan yang terakhir, pendebat simpanan tidak dibenarkan untuk menggantikan pendebat utama semasa perdebatan sedang berlangsung. Maksudnya, contoh sekarang saya tengah berdebat sebagai Perdana Menteri. Sampai minit keempat, saya rasa, alamak aku dah tak boleh berdebat. Tukar dengan pendebat simpanan masuk. Jadi kalau nak keluarkan pendebat simpanan untuk naik ke dalam sidang, pastikan aktiviti ataupun perbuatan itu dilaksanakan sebelum pusingan bermula. Jangan dah mula baru nak tukar. Jadi benda itu mungkin akan dipertimbangkan jika ada kejadian-kejadian yang besar, faktor-faktor yang menjadi masalah. Namun itu semua atas budi bicara hakim yang akan menghakimi kalian lah. Okey, seterusnya. Okey. Oh, double slide. Okey. Bawah lagi. Okey, yang ini sebentar lagi Ketua Hakim Pertandingan akan menerangkan dengan lebih lanjut. Tapi saya boleh beritahu saja untuk sistem pertandingan kali ini kita gunakan sistem power match berkumpulan yang mana kaedah Swiss bracket untuk pusingan awal lah. Okey, sekejap lagi kita akan tunjukkan terus kepada anda sistem pertandingan yang kita gunakan untuk menentukan peranan kerajaan pembangkang juga peranan bagaimana match up itu dilaksanakan secara random. Maksudnya tak ada yang di-set up dan sebagainya lah. Jadi benda-benda itu kita akan paparkan dan kita akan serahkan kepada Ketua Hakim Pertandingan untuk tunjukkan. Okey, jadi kita perlu pastikan anda semua faham dengan sistem pertandingan supaya tak ada isu bantahan sebab ada possibility, okey next slide. Ada possibility anda mungkin akan jadi kerajaan beberapa kali. 3 kali anda jadi kerajaan. Dan biasanya bantahan akan datang. Kami dah 3 kali lah jadi kerajaan. Jadi berkemungkinan besar tim yang awak lawan tu pun dah 3 kali jadi kerajaan. Itulah sistem. Jadi kita tak nak ada bantahan-bantahan berkaitan peranan dan sebagainya. Tapi anda kata memang ada kesalahan sistem, kita boleh usaha untuk tukarkan. Itu pertama. Kedua, bila kita gunakan sistem power match berkumpulan dan bracket, ada juga kemungkinan anda akan jumpa pasukan yang sama beberapa kali. Okey, benda tu pun possible. Jadi kalau anda kata, saya dah jumpa lah dengan pasukan ini, kenapa kena jumpa lagi sekali? Okey, itu adalah atas faktor sistem pertandingan yang telah setkan. Jadi untuk tidak mengganggu sistem itu, kita akan teruskan pertandingan itu walaupun anda sudah berjumpa dengan pasukan yang sama beberapa kali. Okey, itu adalah sedikit sebanyak yang saya boleh jelaskan. Baik, ada apa-apa soalan tak yang nak diajukan sebelum saya serahkan kepada Ketua Hakim? Okey, tentang yang ini, okey, ini adalah semuanya berkaitan dengan budi bicara di peringkat hakim-hakim yang akan mengadili anda. Okey, biasanya isu-isu ini kita jangka akan datang. Isu berkaitan dengan pendebat hilang capaian atau masalah teknikal, tiba-tiba ada pendebat yang tidak boleh teruskan perdebatan atas masalah kesihatan ke, atas masalah berkaitan dengan capaian dan sebagainya. Jadi, setakat pengetahuan saya, perkara itu perlu terus dirujuk kepada hakim-hakim pertandingan yang sedang mengadili anda dan jika isu-isu itu besar, isu-isu itu akan dibawa ke Ketua Hakim Pertandingan untuk dibincangkan apakah keputusan susulan berkaitan dengan isu anda lah. Okey, tapi biasanya kita memang ada berikan tempoh masa kalau tiba-tiba wifi rumah anda bermasalah. Okey, wifi sekolah anda bermasalah. Biasanya kita akan bagikan tempoh dalam 15 minit untuk anda fixkan masalah itu segera dan anda kata masalah itu berulang-ulang ataupun anda memang tak boleh akses masuk terus pada pusingan tersebut, ada je kemungkinan yang kita terpaksa untuk berikan kemenangan kepada pasukan yang satu lagi. Selepas ada cukup orang panggil sebagai langkah untuk kita pastikan anda berjaya untuk masuk ke dalam bilik sidang. Okey? Jadi itu sahaja daripada saya. Okey, nombor saya ada dalam grup. Okey, guru pengiring yang saya baru seru SBPI Rawang tadi, itu ialah nombor saya. Saya akan maklumkan kembali dan perkenalkan diri saya dalam grup. Apa-apa isu berkaitan dengan pertandingan boleh terus berhubung dan tanyakan kepada saya dan saya boleh panjangkan kepada pihak yang berkaitan, hakim, ketua hakim dan sebagainya. Jadi saya serahkan sesi taklimat ini kepada Ketua Hakim Pertandingan Encik Amal Sahazubi.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dengar dengan baik tak suara saya? Okey, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Perkenalkan dulu, nama saya Muhammad Ammar bin Sahabi. Saya bertugas sebagai Ketua Hakim untuk pusingan untuk Cabaran Debat Za'ba 2023 kali ini. Boleh tutup dulu slide tak? Okey. Saya tak ada sediakan slide dan saya punya taklimat pun ringkas je. Pertama, saya nak tekankan kembali berkenaan dengan sistem power match dan juga Swiss bracket lah. So power match ni, saya yakin sekolah-sekolah kebanyakannya dah biasa masuk pertandingan debat dan dah tahu pun sistem ni kan. Cumanya macam yang saudara Iman bagi tahu tadi, saya nak bagi tahu lagi sekali, penjanaan match up ataupun siapa lawan siapa itu dibuat oleh sistem dan bukan ditentukan oleh pihak penganjur maupun pihak hakim. So kalaulah ada pertikaian kenapa jadi kerajaan 3-4 kali, kenapa lawan sekolah yang sama beberapa kali, saya jangkakan isu ni tak berlaku dengan banyak lah untuk pusingan kali ni sebabnya kita ada penyertaan yang ramai, kita ada 40 pasukan. Kebiasaannya kita hanya akan menghadapi masalah lawan yang sama dan juga peranan yang sama sampai 3-4 kali ni bila kita ada penyertaan yang sikit lah 12 ke 20 pasukan tu dia akan ada masalah tu. Okey, itu yang pertama. Yang kedua adalah saya nak bagi tahu berkaitan dengan kriteria penghakiman. Yang ini pentinglah untuk student take note, untuk peserta take note. Sementara tu kalau ada apa-apa soalan boleh terus interrupt saya dan tanya lah. Okey, untuk kriteria penghakiman. Pertama, saya akan taklimatkan dengan hakim-hakim nanti. Kita akan minta supaya semua peserta dinilai berdasarkan 3 aspek utama. Aspek pertama adalah dari segi konsep dan juga cara anda membawa perdebatan. So macam mana anda cuba membuktikan usul, itu kriteria pertama, konsep yang anda gunakan. Yang kedua adalah penghujahan. Kalau penghujahan anda baik, lebih baik daripada lawan, maka ada kredit yang khas untuk anda disebabkan hujah yang baik. Kriteria yang ketiga adalah bahasa dan penyampaian. Bahasa dan penyampaian, korang sebagai pendebat tahulah, kita sebagai pendebat kita tahulah kan. Okay, so ketiga-tiga benda ni kita kena betul-betul jaga, kita kena betul-betul pastikan yang kita boleh untuk deliver dengan baik lah, kita boleh deliver speech kita dengan baik. Mana-mana sekolah juga yang sewaktu pertandingan merasakan ada ketidakadilan, merasakan bahawa justifikasi kenapa dia kalah tu dia tak boleh terima. Sebab kebiasaan para hakim yang akan menghakimi pertandingan ni dia tak attack sangat lah. Maksudnya bila dia komen tu dia tak adalah bagi tahu kamu lemah. Kebiasaannya dia tak cakap macam itulah. Cuma dia akan bagi tahu mungkin ada teguran 1-2 yang dia akan bagi tahu. Berdasarkan teguran-teguran tu dia akan buat keputusan. Kalau dia tak bagi tahu kenapa kamu kalah, kamu boleh tanya. Kamu hakim dia akan buka sesi soal jawab selepas setiap komen dia dan selepas dia bagi keputusan. Kalau nak tanya boleh tanya dia. Kenapa kami kalah, kenapa kami menang. Suruh dia justify. Kenapa menang, kenapa kalah. Kalau masa tak mengizinkan, katakanlah pusingan tu kita terlewat mula. Sepatutnya dalam jadual kita mula pukul 11 tapi kita dah termula pukul 12.30 contohnya. Dah sejam setengah lewat. So kalau kita extend lagi, kalau kita panjangkan lagi dengan komen yang panjang dan juga justify keputusan, dia akan ambil masa dan makan untuk pusingan seterusnya. Kalau macam tu, saya minta kerjasama sekolah, termasuk guru-guru pengiring kalau ada dalam ni, simpan dulu dan ajukan kepada buat surat kepada ketua hakim, kepada saya lah. Sebab apa? Sebab dalam pertandingan ni walaupun kita tak ada live streaming tapi semua perdebatan akan ada recording. So kita akan record semua perdebatan dan kita boleh refer semula debat. Maksudnya kalau contohnya di sidang keempat contohnya ada pertikaian, kenapa sekolah A menang, kenapa sekolah B kalah. Walaupun saya rasa sekolah B lagi strong, saya rasa sekolah B bla 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 semua kan. Boleh ajukan, kita akan tengok balik recording dan kita akan bagi tahu semula lah kenapa. Dan kalau perdebatan yang sengit, then of course dia ada pertimbangan hakim dekat situ lah. Mana yang hakim rasa lebih layak untuk menang. Okey, setakat ni ada soalan? Tak ada. Okey, kita pergi perkara seterusnya. Perkara seterusnya adalah berapa hakim yang akan ada untuk setiap sidang. Untuk kebanyakan sidang, kita hanya akan ada satu hakim untuk pusingan awal ni lah. Maksudnya pusingan prelim ni. Pusingan 1 sampai 5 ni, kebanyakan sidang ada satu hakim. Tapi akan ada beberapa sidang-sidang yang istimewa yang akan ada 3 hakim. bila ada 3 hakim ni, terutamanya adalah pada sidang pusingan kelima. Bila pusingan kelima, kita tahu tu pusingan yang basically dah pusingan yang sangat penting lah untuk beberapa pasukan yang ada di middle pack. So sama ada dia nak layak ke suku ataupun dia terkandas. So untuk pusingan yang tu, pusingan-pusingan yang penting tu, kita akan sediakan 3 hakim sekurang-kurangnya untuk semua sidang-sidang yang crucial. Kita tak mampu sediakan 3 hakim untuk semua sidang 1 sampai 20 sebab kita kena sedar jugalah kekangan masa yang kita ada sekarang ni kan, kekangan kelapangan juga. So tapi untuk sidang-sidang yang penting kita akan usahakan untuk ada 3 hakim lah. Saya rasa apa yang saya nak sampaikan pada pagi ni itu saja 3 perkara yang penting. Ada apa-apa soalan? Soalan saya buka apa-apa pun tak apa. Sekolah ke, cikgu ke, peserta ke, boleh. Sebelum kita terus pergi ke match up. Okay, so macam yang Iman cakap tadi, untuk match up, kita akan bagi match up pusingan pertama sahaja untuk esok. Match up untuk esok kita akan buat sekejap lagi, dalam 2-3 minit lagi. Usul kita akan release 30 minit sebelum lah, macam yang Iman cakap tadi kan. Usul ni kami cuba usahakan supaya pembayang tu betul-betul menggambarkan usul. Tapi kalau kamu rasa saya dah cari bab lain dah ni usul ni tapi usul keluar benda lain. Tu macam mana? Itulah nasib lah. Tak boleh buat apa lah. Okey, tapi kita memang matchkan pembayang tu dengan usul sebaiknya lah. Okey, kalau tak ada soalan, saya rasa kita boleh teruskan dengan match up. Okey. Kalau semua boleh tengok dekat skrin sekarang ni, kat sini adalah kita punya spreadsheet lah. Ni kita punya sistem untuk buat power match dan juga Swiss bracket. So mungkin korang tanya power match dan Swiss bracket ni apa? Swiss bracket adalah sistem kita mengkelaskan semua peserta berdasarkan ranking, berdasarkan beberapa kriteria. Satu adalah berapa banyak menang. So selepas setiap pusingan akan ada lebih banyak Swiss bracket. So pada keadaan sekarang hanya ada satu bracket sahaja sebab semua belum bertanding dan belum ada kemenangan. So selepas pusingan pertama ada pasukan yang menang 1, ada pasukan yang menang 0. So dia akan ada 2 bracket. So selepas tu akan ada pasukan yang menang 2, menang 1 dan menang 0. So ada 3 bracket. Itu adalah Swiss bracket lah. Okay, power match adalah sistem menentukan bahawa pertembungan akan berlaku dalam Swiss bracket yang sama sahaja. Maksudnya pasukan yang 3 menang akan lawan dengan pasukan yang 3 menang juga. Dia tak akan lawan dengan pasukan yang tak ada menang langsung. Berkemungkinan dia akan lawan dengan pasukan yang 2 menang, 1 kurang. Itu sahaja. Dia takkan pergi ke bracket yang berbeza lah. Sebab tu akan jadi tidak adil untuk pasukan yang berada di kedudukan yang lebih rendah. Okay. So untuk sistem ni, apa yang kita boleh tengok adalah kita dah ada nama semua pasukan. Ranking nombor kat tepi tu tak relevan lah sebab kita belum lagi buat, kita belum lagi ada ranking. So mungkin pertama kita scroll dulu, pastikan sekolah-sekolah tahu mana kedudukan masing-masing. Ini semua adalah short form je dah daripada sekolah sebab kalau nak tulis penuh panjang pula. Okay, kita check satu daripada atas ni. Okay, basis A dan basis B ni sains banting. Sotsek adalah sekolah menengah sains Tun Syekh Sihabuddin. ASIS adalah sekolah menengah sains Alam Shah, Sultan Alam Shah. Semesra adalah sekolah menengah sains Rembau. SMSS adalah sains Selangor. MRSM TGP Tun Gafar Baba. Intergom Integrasi Gombak. MRSM KT Kuala Terengganu. SMAP KA, SMAP K adalah SMAP Kajang. STAR adalah sekolah Tunku Abdul Rahman. Serseri adalah sekolah sains Sri Puteri. TKC adalah College Tunku Kursiah. MRSM KP adalah MRSM Kubang Pasu. Sakura adalah SPPI Kuching Utara. Sekolah Menengah Sains Kuching Utara, SAS adalah Sekolah Alam Shah. MRSM Ku adalah MRSM Kuantan. KYS adalah College Yayasan Saad. Mabda adalah MRSM Bagan Datuk. MAIS, okey, ni ada Bagan Datuk. Sorry. Okey. So kita ada kekurangan, kita ada kesilapan sikit lah. Mais ni ada tarik diri. Tak apa, kita pergi dulu. Lepas ni kita betulkan balik. MRSM Subes adalah Sungai Besar. Sepinta A adalah Integrasi Rawang. Semesti adalah Sains Teluk Intan, MRSM Pendang adalah MRSM Pendang lah. MCKK adalah Malay College Kuala Kangsar, Semasyur adalah Sains Teluk Selangor, SMKA TA adalah SMKA Tun Ahmad Shah, Superb adalah Semak Bentong, SM Setiabudi adalah SM Setiabudi lah, SMS TNFP adalah Sekolah Menengah Sains Tengku Muhammad Faris Petra, MTNP adalah Mak Tafiz Negeri Pahang, IKUPS adalah Integrasi Kubang Pasu, MIS adalah Mutiara Integrated Secondary School, STF adalah Sekolah Tun Fatimah. Okey, sekejap kita betulkan sikit. Okey, kita tunggu technical share sekejap. Okay, so dah tak ada Mahir tadi, kita dah tolak dia keluar dan gantikan. STF ada 2 tim, STF A dan B. Okay, kalau ada sekolah-sekolah yang rasa pasukan dia tak ada dalam senarai ataupun short form ni tak tepat menggambarkan sekolah dia, dia nak tukar short form dia, boleh beritahu sekarang? Ada ke? Okay, kalau tak ada, kita beranggapan bahawa semua kependekan yang kita guna ni adalah kependekan yang sah yang akan digunakan sampai akhir pertandingan lah, sampai final. Okay, so apa yang kita akan buat sekarang adalah kita akan tentukan match up untuk pusingan pertama. Intercom tu sepatutnya ejaan tanpa R. Okay. Okay, terima kasih Intercom. Ada lagi? Okay, kalau tak ada, kita akan buat match up. Okay, saya perlu maklumkan juga berkenaan dengan match up ni. Sebab nanti mungkin akan ada anggap ataupun akan ada pertikaian macam mana match up boleh jadi macam ni. Okay, match up basically untuk pusingan pertama adalah match up yang betul-betul random. Kita akan tunjukkan. PG cuba buka display draw. Okay, berdasarkan list nama kat sebelah tu, yang ni adalah match up yang original. Maksudnya bukan match up yang betul lah. Ni belum kita randomkan. Okay, sekarang kita akan tunjukkan proses untuk randomization. Okay, kita dah randomkan di display draw. Okay, ini adalah match up pertama lah. Ni random pertama. Kita akan buat sebanyak 3 kali. Match up yang ketiga tu adalah match up sebenar untuk pusingan pertama. Okay. Okay, ini adalah match up random yang kedua. Match up random yang ketiga, yang ini adalah match up random terakhir dan akan digunakan untuk pusingan satu esok. Okey, so di sidang 1 akan menemukan MRSM Kubang Pasu dan juga Sekolah Menengah Sains Tunku Muhammad Faris Petra B. Yang ni boleh take note terus Sidang kedua Sekolah Menengah Sains Sekolah Menengah Sains Tengku Muhammad Faris Petra A bertemu dengan MRSM Sungai Besar. Sidang ketiga, Sekolah Tengku Abdul Rahman bertemu dengan Malay College Kuala Kangsar. Sidang keempat, Sekolah Menengah Sains Selangor bertemu dengan Sekolah Menengah Sains Hulu Selangor. Sidang kelima, Sekolah Menengah Sains Rembau bertemu dengan MRSM Kuantan. Sidang keenam, Kolej Tunku Pursiah A bertemu dengan Mahatafis Negeri Pahang B. Sidang yang ketujuh, Integrasi Rawang B bertemu dengan Sekolah Menengah Sains Seri Puteri. Sidang ke-8, Semap Kajang A bertemu dengan Sekolah Menengah Sains Banting A. Sidang ke-9, Semap Kajang B bertemu dengan Kolej Yayasan Saad. Sidang ke-10 adalah ASIS bertemu dengan Sekolah Menengah Sains Teluk Intan. Di sidang 11, STF B bertemu dengan MRSM Kuala Terengganu. Sidang ke-12, SAS A bertemu dengan Sekolah Menengah Sains Tun Syekh Shahabuddin. Sidang ke-13, Integrasi Kubang Pasu bertemu dengan SAS B. Sidang ke-14, Semak Bentong bertemu dengan Integrasi Gombak. Sidang ke-15, MRSM Tun Gafar Baba bertemu dengan Mak Tafis Negeri Pahang A. Sidang ke-16, MRSM Bagan Datuk bertemu dengan Sains Kuching Utara. Sidang ke-17, SMKA Tun Ahmad Shah bertemu dengan MRSM Pedang. Sidang ke-18, Sekolah Menengah Setia Budi bertemu dengan Mutiara Integrated Secondary School. Sidang ke-19, Integrasi Rawang A bertemu dengan TKCB. Dan sidang ke-20, STFA bertemu dengan Basis B. Okey, dekat nama sekolah di sebelah kiri adalah yang akan bertindak sebagai kerajaan, di sebelah kanan adalah yang akan bertindak sebagai pembangkang. Nanti sekejap lagi teknikal akan kongsikan juga senarai yang sama dalam grup supaya boleh sekolah-sekolah boleh ambil take note lah. Okey, ada apa-apa soalan pertikaian ataupun apa? Kita keluarkan matchup terlebih dahulu, usul tetap akan keluar esok. Tak ada, kalau tak ada saya rasa dah jelaslah sistem pertandingan yang kita akan guna dan saya harapkan pertandingan akan berjalan dengan lancar. Kalau ada apa-apa persoalan, kalau ada apa-apa masalah yang ingin diajukan, boleh terus berhubung dengan pihak teknikal ataupun dengan saya teruslah. Saya ada dalam grup bersama dengan guru pengiring dan juga peserta. Boleh tanya kat situ, kita akan jawablah. Okey, terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih buat Encik Amar. Okey, jadi matchup telah pun diumumkan. Jadi matchup ini akan digunakan untuk pusingan yang pertama. Sebentar lagi teknikal akan hantar dalam grup guru pengiring dan peserta. Jadi mungkin itu sahaja taklimat daripada pihak kami selaku penyelaras dan juga kehakiman untuk cabaran debat Za'ba pada kali ini. Kami mengucapkan selamat maju jaya, selamat bertanding kepada pasukan-pasukan dan semoga semua diberikan peluang untuk pengalaman dalam cabaran debat Za'ba pada kali ini. Saya serahkan semula kepada urus setia dan pengacara majlis. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih kepada pihak Urussetia Persiapan Umum di atas sesi taklimat yang diberikan sebentar tadi. Kita akan berikan sedikit masa untuk pihak Debate Club UKM memberikan taklimat bagi kategori debat bahasa Inggeris dan para peserta bahasa Inggeris untuk masuk semula ke ruangan utama. Diminta para peserta untuk tidak meninggalkan ruangan Zoom.
feedback. Just to double check, right? There are 5, right?
Yeah, there's 5 preliminary rounds. The 4 rounds, you will have to stay back in the debate room to hear the feedback from the judge. But the 5th round, it is a silent round. That means the judge will not give any.
Yeah, so because the wording is a bit confusing, but it's okay. The first 4 rounds, you will have to stay back in the room. But after the final preliminary round, which is a silent round, please leave the room right after the debate because essentially the round is called a silent round. We will not give any feedback or oral adjudication from the adjudicators for suspense, so that it's a bit more suspenseful to know who breaks. So even English debate, debates have a bit of flair. Next slide, please. Okay, for the point of information, there is a window that will be used to give POIs. So there are 7 minutes in a speech, the constructive speeches. Okay, the first minute and the last minute are untouchable. You cannot ask POIs or accept POIs during the first minute and the last minute. However, the 5 minutes in between are your 5-minute window for the open time to ask POIs. It is unprotected time. So it is only for constructive speeches. During the 4-minute reply speech, there are no POIs at all. However, during the constructive speeches, during those 5-minute windows, if anybody asks you a POI, you're encouraged to accept at least one. Reason being, it's a debate, and the whole point of debate is to exchange ideas. If you have a POI, it's not just a matter of I speak first, you speak next during your respective speeches, but within a speech itself, there is engagement between both sides. Limit the POI to 15 seconds. If you are giving a POI more than 15 seconds, the chair or speaker can tell you to stop talking because it is not your time to talk for more than 15 seconds. It is another person's speech. To answer the question earlier, don't heckle and wait at least 15 seconds before offering another POI. Because like I said, it's not your time to speak. Please be respectful of the person speaking primarily. And respect POI preferences. Remember, if you are going to speak, tell everybody how you prefer your POIs first. Tell them, for example, like me personally, if I'm going to debate, I would prefer that if I'm government, I prefer the opposition directly just unmute and just ask their POI. Like, POI please. And then if I say yes, okay. If I say no, then you cannot ask your POI. So respect POI preferences, however you wish for the request to be delivered. Next slide, please. Okay. Speaker roles. Every speaker has their own roles in a debate. It's not necessarily a fixed thing, but there is a recommended set of things that each speaker should fulfill or talk about during their individual speeches. So the Prime Minister should define the debate, set the premise of the entire debate, and present arguments. The leader of opposition should establish the clash in the debate, rebut the proposition or government team's arguments, and present their own arguments. In some cases, there might be a redefine of the premises of the debate or definition, but we'll go to that later. The Deputy Prime Minister rebuts the opposition team's arguments and develops their own team's case. The Deputy Leader of Opposition does pretty much the same as the Deputy Prime Minister. The government rebuts the opposition's arguments, defends the team's arguments, summarizes the debate, and handles the clash points in the debate from the government's perspective. And the opposition does pretty much the same. However, please be reminded that the substantive speakers, meaning that the speakers who are allowed to give new arguments or new points, are only the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition, and Deputy Leader of Opposition. If you are a whip, you are not allowed to give new argumentation. You are only allowed to work with existing argumentation that has already been brought up. If you're going to bring up new argumentation, you will be penalized. New analysis on existing argumentation is fine, but no outright new points. For the reply speech, it is a biased adjudication from the government team or opposition team. What this means is essentially, after the main speeches where you've told us all your ideas, your points, the reply speech is where you tell us, okay, we've already told you this, they've already told you that. Why are why do we deserve to win? Is what we said better? Is what they said worse? Did we both do well but we did better? Did we both do bad but they did worse? So give us the angle and tell us why you deserve to win. A biased adjudication of the government or opposition team during the reply. Do not use the reply 4 minutes to continue arguing your content. That is not the point of a reply speech. You are using the 4 minutes of reply, essentially, you are using the reply time, 4 minutes, essentially to kind of boil down what happened in the debate and give us an angle from your own perspective on why you deserve to win, to help the adjudicators themselves kind of understand what your own perspective. Yeah. Next slide, please. Okay, now for the iron person rule. Basically, iron manning or ironing, I guess you could say, is when, say, for example, you have 3 people in a team and one person suddenly is not well or something. You know, they cannot drive, they have an emergency or anything. 2 people can be allowed to debate in the tournament. So only for legitimate reasons, such as emergency cases or if the person is unhealthy or anything, that is to be determined by the adjudication call, whether your reason or excuse is valid. A maximum of, sorry, was it two, right? Just double checking.
Yep, it's 2. Sorry about the mistake, guys. So it's a maximum of 2 rounds. To be fair to those teams who can actually show up for the rounds with a full team, right?
So essentially, with the iron person rule, we are allowing you to debate even if you're at a disadvantage because something has happened to one of your speakers. However, even that must come with balance. Therefore, we limit the number of rounds you are allowed to iron because some people actually might take advantage of this rule if the maximum number of rounds is not applied, and they might just like go 2 people in the whole tournament. So that's not it's not how the debate should go. So one person must be the first speaker and whip, meaning you are the first speaker and then the third speaker of your team. Is the person sharing screen okay? So you must be the first person and third person to speak for your team, and the other person, your partner, will be the second person, the deputy, and also the reply speaker. So the reason this is such is we do not want 2 people to speak. Sorry, we do not want one person to do 2 speeches in a row. So at least there is an alternation between the speakers. Wins are kept. So that means if you iron during that rule, you iron person, it's valid. That means if you win the round, you win the round. It is counted. So you don't have to worry about being illegitimate unless you secretly go a third round without telling us, and there's only 2 people, and like Soraya finds out, then you're in trouble. So please make sure you know the rules and please make sure you adhere to the rules. Any issues, anything that's not clear, let us know. We will try to accommodate for a fair, equitable, and smooth tournament. Present speakers get scores of the better speech. Absent speakers get the floor score at the end of the tournament. So that will be explained later as well. Motion ranking. Okay, this part it gets confusing at first, but this is one of the most important things to know. So please make sure you, okay, I would like to request for everybody to actually screenshot this slide because It's easier to refer later, and it gets confusing sometimes. Basically, you rank the motions. We will give you 3 motions per round, okay? Say motion A, B, C. What you have to do is you have to assign 1, 2, and 3 to these motions to decide which you would like to veto and which you would like to debate. So, veto in this case means you do not want to debate that motion. If you do want to debate a motion the most, you would assign that number 1. If you want to veto the motion, you would assign it number 3. What this means is the motion that you assign number 3 is the most important in your motion selection, because if you veto a motion, say you have ABC, you veto motion C, you absolutely will not debate that motion, even if your opponent chooses that as the motion they would like to debate the most. So, that would probably be the first, the leftmost diagram, the situation that I just said. So, if both of you have vetoed the same motion or vetoed different motions, but your first choice is the same, you will debate your first choice. And okay, the catch is also, if both of you have vetoed the same motion, but your preferred motions are opposite, then you will Suraya, are we using a coin toss for this?
Yep. So that'll be a coin toss for this. So if you guys look at the third diagram, okay, both teams vetoed the last motion, right? Motion 3. So that's not going to be touched at all. But then Gov wants motion 1 as their most preferred, and opposition wants motion 2 as the most preferred. Then we'll do a coin flip, right? So then it'll be like, for example, heads and tails. So government is heads, opposition is tails. So then if opposition wins the coin flip, tails, that means they get their preferred motion, which is motion 2. If Gov wins the coin flip, they get to do their preferred motion, which is motion 1. Yeah. I hope that's clear so far.
We totally understand if this is very confusing. Please, 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 if you're not sure, ask for clarification from your chair. But that's why I said screenshot this, internalize it. You have until tomorrow before the debates to understand this. Go through this and really understand it. So yeah. For the coin toss, we can actually use like the Google coin toss, because Google has a coin toss function. Or if the tabbing software has a coin toss, we can use that as well. So that depends lah. And the first thing you do after getting the motion, rank the motions 1, 2, and 3. Which motions are 1, 2, and 3? Compare with your opponents. Make sure you 100% confirm that you are debating the same motion. And make sure your chair, if you know who the chair is for that round, make sure they know what the motion is as well. Because, simply put, if you're going to rush and prep for a motion that you haven't even decided on, and the other side decides on a different motion, and you both come into the room with 2 different motions, that's going to be a problem. So please make sure everybody knows and decides on properly what motion is being debated for the round.
Yeah, just to also add on, maybe a representative from government will be like, okay, hi opposition team, we are debating motion 1 today, right? And the opposition's like, yeah, we're debating motion 1 today. But if opposition says, I don't think so, that's when you have to quickly do the selection again to come to a consensus and explicitly and clearly say, verbally open the mic and say, hey guys, we're debating this motion today, right? And then, okay, cool, we've come to consensus, then we can start prepping, okay?
Try to finish this within 5 minutes because it's part of your prep time and we will not give you extra time to do this. So do it as fast as possible. Please, please, please familiarize yourself with the vetoing and the motion ranking today. You have to. Okay, next slide, please.
Oh, lastly, before I move on to the next slide, the last point it says if the other team is not responding after 5 minutes, the motion for the round will be the first preference of the motion of the team that is there. So this can be applied if, say, for example, government team is in the room and the chair has already masuk the room, right? But opposition is still not in the room after 5 minutes of waiting. That means we'll have to go with government's preference of motion. There's no like debating on that.
Okay, so this is an example for the motion rankings. Okay, so I think it's worth using a bit of extra explanation for this. Say I'm government and I'm against opposition, right? And I would like to debate Facebook, but my opposition vetoed Facebook. So I vetoed child voting, but the opposition decided to prioritize that one. So since they cancel each other out, number 2 is left. So euthanasia is decided on. So that's the first scenario. Second scenario, you both have the same ranking, most straightforward, good. You follow that. Third scenario, the difficult one, is you both veto the same motion, say child voting, but you have no clear preference on Facebook or euthanasia. So say government chooses Facebook, but opposition chooses euthanasia, then you can only do a coin toss to determine, unless one of you changes your mind. So say government wants to do Facebook and opposition wants to do euthanasia, but because you have this dilemma and have to do a coin toss, suddenly opposition says, it's okay, let's just go with Facebook. Fine, mutually decided on, mutually agreed upon, okay. Then you can do the Facebook motion. Before we go to the debating principles, is the motion ranking clear?
Yes. Yeah. Alternatively, yeah. Alternatively, if you guys what's normally done in online tournaments is that someone from either teams will open their mind and say, okay, government is ready to do a motion ranking now. Is opposition ready? And then opposition is like, yeah, okay, we're ready. So at the same time, on a count of 3, we'll type it in the chat box of our ranking motions. So then there'll be like A, we ranked it as 1, B, we ranked it as 2, and C, we ranked it as 3. So motion C is vetoed out, leaving motion 1 and 2 up for debate. Is that clear? Yeah, so make sure you just type in the motion ranking in the chat box at the same time, so it doesn't create like, how do I say this? That it's not strategically planned to veto something that the opposition team wants the most. Okay, so it's best to do it at the same time. All right.
Yeah, like please be respectful and I mean, yeah, don't just like wait for the other team to release their rankings and then you decide. You know, that's just it's not that it lacks sportsmanship if you do that. Yeah, so follow the spirit of the tournament by deciding mutually. I think we can move on to the next section. Debating principles. Okay, this part I will just skim through a bit. I'm sure all of you have practiced. Persuasiveness. You have an argument. There are plausible reasons that show the argument is true and important, and you have clarity and rhetorical power, which you explain. Analysis and style are not separate criteria. AP debating, as in, okay, AP debating does not consider it possible for an argument to be persuasive merely because it was stylish. So there are many criteria that we look at when adjudicating tournaments. And it's not just like if you sound good, you are going to win the round, you know? It matters what you say, it matters how you say it, and it matters how you deliver it as well. So all of these come into play. So the burdens pertain to key things you have to prove in order to win the debate. Essentially, when you're prepping, it is good to identify what you're trying to achieve in that debate, and from your perspective, what you're trying to prove. Because if you're just going to go into a debate and just like give this point, that point, it's not going to be very clear. It's probably not going to be very well analyzed either, unless you have a good idea of what your intention is during that debate. Okay, for contradictions, just wondering, Soraya, will the participants be given this slide?
Yes, I can give it to the ORCOM, and then the ORCOM can pass it to the debaters and the teachers, whoever who needs it. Yeah, I hope debaters are okay with that. That you guys can refer to the slides given after this whole briefing.
There's a lot of information we're giving out right now, so please do make sure you understand it. You have the rest of today to do so. So we'll give you the content, the slides and whatnot, so make sure you access them and go through them. So for contradictions, next slide, please. Okay. A contradiction is a scenario wherein you make a statement that is directly opposite to a previous statement that was made within your team. In debate, teams must not contradict their partners nor themselves for that matter in their speeches. By nature, both statements cannot coexist in the context of the rounds, and the judge only credit the first statement that was made and ignore the second. Teams, however, are allowed to provide even if analysis, whereas teams make claims but not conceding the prior statement was untrue. So, can I see the next slide? Or because I want to see if there's an example. Okay, never mind. I'll give an example. Say, for example, we use some sort of like motion such as, okay, let me just give it in this way. Say first, your first speaker, the Prime Minister, says A. And then when you're explaining, you are the Deputy Prime Minister, you're explaining and you suddenly say B. So it's different from A. Or maybe you say not A, the opposite of A. So two pieces of information that are opposite to each other within the same team or bench or even the same person is a contradiction. However, what you are allowed to do is say, maybe as the Prime Minister, you can say, we believe that A is the case. However, even if not A were to be true, then what? Then we believe that blah, 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 blah. So these are all like strategies and whatnot to provide clear analysis for people to understand, the adjudicators and your opposing team to understand your stance as well as the debate itself and its content better. If that's clear, let's go on to the next section, definitions. Okay. Government must clearly define and set up the words in the motion. In policy motions, government must also provide a model in explaining the policy. That means that in a policy motion, which will be elaborated on later, you have a problem, you want to solve the problem. So how are you going to solve the problem? So government must do that. However, opposite to this, if you have like a principal debate, meaning there's no problem per se to be solved, but rather matter of opinion, then you do not have to provide a model or solution. Definitions should generally be wide in scope. It's illegitimate for teams to narrow down the definition in overly restrictive ways without justification, as they must debate within the spirit of the motion. Teams must also not squirrel the definition of the motion, meaning that they cannot mistake the definition for something else. Squirreling is essentially twisting the motion in your favor. So do not twist the wording in your favor. You are allowed to give a biased definition or a characterization after the general definition, but make sure that your general definition is applicable to everybody. After that, you may provide a characterization, which is how your team or your side views the definition or your side of the debate. Teams must also not set time or place set debates unless stated otherwise, because it narrows down the debate a lot. Okay, so for definitional challenges, which do happen, assuming government commits any of the mistakes of squirreling or unfairly context setting the debate, the leader of opposition is allowed to challenge the government, the prime minister, and set up what the definition actually is. The process of raising a definitional challenge is the government gives the definition, the prime minister, the leader of opposition explicitly flags that they will be raising a definitional challenge. We would like to challenge the definition that has been brought up by the prime minister because it is unreasonable in the sense that blah 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 blah. Therefore, we would like to propose that the new definition for this motion is blah 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 blah, and this is a better definition because blah 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 blah. And if it's a bit difficult, but if you want to provide an even if in this case, so you could say even if we were to use the definition set by the prime minister previously, this might be problems, and maybe you can say we will tackle that under our side on both situations or paradigms. Yeah. Only, sorry, could you please go back to the previous slide? Okay. Please note the red text at the bottom, very important. Only the leader of opposition has the power to raise a definitional challenge. No other opposition speaker is allowed to contest the definition. This is also only done if absolutely necessary. If the prime minister has given a definition and it is valid, the leader of opposition brings up a definitional challenge, it just looks bad on you, an opposition. If the prime minister gives a bad definition and the leader of opposition gives a good definition, counter definition, or a definitional challenge, it looks bad on government. If if the prime minister gives a bad definition, the leader of opposition gives a bad definitional challenge, both teams give a bad definition, both teams are going to look bad. Who wins might be depending on other factors, but the overall quality of the debate will be considered lower because you're just fighting over the definition and not actually discussing any ideas or solving any issues within the debate itself. So try to avoid this if possible.
Yeah, because if it's going to be a battle or a debate of definitions from both teams, it will end up being a parallel debate. There's no engagement throughout the debate. There's no direct clash of arguments throughout the debate, which will be a little bit difficult for a judge to determine how the verdict of the debate should go. So make sure that you guys do your best in setting up the definitions, case setup, framing, characterization, and stuff like that, because we want to avoid these kinds of parallel debates. So make it everyone's worthwhile, make it a very engaging and fun debate, yeah?
Okay, types of motions. So there are several types of motions in the sense that there are several types of wording that you can use for the motions. Next slide, please. The first one is this house would do X. THW. Please remember the short forms, yeah? This house would is THW. This house would do X. In these debates, the government or proposition team are expected to explain how they will carry out an action. So, for example, this house would ban Facebook. The action that is being taken is banning Facebook. So, in motions that call for the implementation of an action, policy, or change, teams may use to explain how they want to carry out the action. Opposition can propose a counter model, and if they do, the motion becomes a proposition model versus opposition model. Opposition is not required to have a counter model. What this means is, there's more than one way to look at it. Say, for example, this house, say the propositions side, say the motion is this house would legalize euthanasia. So as the government, you have to take it as that. You have to say, you have to defend that you will legalize euthanasia. However, as the opposition, uh, if you're going to counter that, audio check.
Yash, hello?
Audio check. Can you hear me?
You're audible.
Audible, ah? Because Zoom is telling me I'm not. They can't detect my mic. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Say it's like legalize euthanasia, right? So opposition can either say like either you can say we would like to okay, wait, no.
Okay, maybe
Do I have any
like
examples?
the motion would be like, for example, this house would ban smoking, right? Government has to provide a mechanism as to why it's so. What is the policy that you guys would enact in order for this to work? So it's like, okay, it may look like macam government's policy or mechanism would be we ban smoking by having like a nationwide penalty, um, and having a fine on those who smoke in public outlets like restaurants, in parks, etc. Right? Whereas maybe the counter model in ops world could look like this house would both ban smoking and e-vaping smoking. So it kind of like caters to both. So that's a counter proposal that maybe opposition could come up, which is maybe an addition of the proposal. That's a counter proposal. I hope that's clear so far.
Yeah, thank you for the examples, Raya. Oh, okay. The third one was an example. My bad. So yeah, you can phrase it in different ways. So essentially, simple way to put it is, government says we would do A. Opposition has the option of either saying we will achieve the same goal by doing B, or we will achieve the same goal by not doing A. So it's either a counter proposal in the sense that you have another idea, or you can defend why A's idea is bad. And it depends on the motions really, because sometimes it depends which type of motion would actually use which approach, because some motions don't have like alternative solutions. It's you have
Okay.
like one solution and you just want to see whether it's like viable or not, feasible or not, all of that.
So both teams essentially you want to either defend status quo or improve status quo depending on which side of the house burden of proof or stance, right? So make sure you guys read the motion and understand where your house stands and decide whether it's defending the status quo or improving status quo to get a better outcome that exists today, right? Okay, there's a question in chat box. Hi, sir, I have a question. For example, this house would ban Facebook. So the government are supposed to say how they want to ban it or why they want to ban it. It's both. So you have to paint a picture of how would this ban look like. Is it maybe like in certain states this Facebook is banned? Is it a nationwide ban? Is it like maybe a ban for a certain amount of time? And is there a time that people are allowed to use Facebook or stuff like that? And then you have to give reasons as to why you want to carry out this mechanism. Is it because for your censorship issues? Is it because there is a lot of discriminatory content out there on Facebook that can harm minors, that can harm society, which is why we have to have this policy. So yes, you can explain both. It is much advisable that you explain how and why this policy takes place. Okay? All right. Yash, you can carry on.
I think we can go to the next type of motion. This house believes that, or THBT, that X, yeah, that X. For example, this house believes that okay, uh, this house would motion is more of a policy motion, meaning that you are trying to have a solution to a problem or compare solutions and see which is better, or compare alternative solutions and which is better. But in a motion type that's worded as this house believes that THBT, it is now more of a principal motion. So very simple would be like this house believes that the color red is better than the color yellow. There's no objective right answer. It's a matter of opinion. So if you are going to tell me like for some like philosophical reason or like somehow the color red saved you from falling into a river when you were 5, so yeah, then let me know how it's better and why I should be convinced that the color red is better than the color yellow. The third type of motion is this house supports or opposes X. So in this debate, the teams um, essentially have to debate on whether they would like give reasons, provide reasons and analysis on why, like hypothetically, they would support or oppose a certain concept or policy or whatever. So this can go both ways. It can be policy, it can be principle. And this house as X is called an actor debate. Why actor? Because you are acting as a certain party, not in this debate, not in this room. I mean, so for example, this house as the US would invade Syria, right? In this debate, teams would debate from the perspective of the US and whether invading Syria would be in their interest. You, like, okay, I don't think any person in this CDZ is going to invade Syria anytime soon. So you would have to debate in the perspective of the US and adopt that as the POV. So if you're that in that sense, it kind of depends all as well on who better provides the most realistic perspective of the actor, the perspective, because it is a unique perspective that is like a third party perspective. So it's not just what you think, it's what they think. And if the adjudicators feel that you have represented them correctly or accurately or better than the other team, that might affect how or influence the outcome of the debate. The last one is this house prefers X to Y. For example, this house prefers benevolent dictatorships to weak democracies. Essentially, you have two things and you are comparing them. So if you prefer the first over the second as government, as opposition, you prefer the second over the first. It's quite straightforward. And I think this is the last one. This house regrets X. So when you regret something, it is in the past, it's retrospective, it's something that's already happened. So you can discuss, possibly as government opposition, how whatever event or policy or whatever that is, oh yeah, this is also applicable to policy and principle. You can discuss how it has caused harm, how other policies are better, how people have been affected, how stakeholders have been affected, how it is maybe counterproductive. There are lots of ways to look at it. But like the text says in the slide, like proposition must say how the world would be better without X or would have been better off. And it would be better to also provide a realistic depiction of what a world without X looks like. Whether you agree or not on the counterfactual world, and what are the alternatives, what could you have done, what could have been done by any party, yourself or the people or stakeholders within that actual counterfactual world, that situation. So because you're analyzing things in a hypothetical, because you're comparing what happened and what could have happened, so if you overthink a lot, then good for you, this is your time to shine.
It has to do with like some hindsight of what could have been, what could happen, etc. So really pull on that knowledge and try to weaponize it into your arguments. Yeah.
Agreed. Now for the fight rule. The government teams are allowed to assume that the policy will pass. It is not a valid opposition line to argue that a parliament will not pass the policy. Likewise, if government has fight to institute a level of change, opposition has an equal fight on the other side of this House vote debate. A government team, however, cannot stipulate the way that other actors will react. For example, with the motion, this House believes that Russia should make a credible public offer to the United States for joint decommissioning of their entire nuclear arsenal. The government can assume that Russia will make the offer. The government team cannot assume that the United States will accept the offer. Meaning, say for example, to put it very simply, it's like as government, if the motion is A will give, this House as A would give B a cookie. So you can assume that most definitely a cookie will be given to B by A, but government cannot assume whether B will accept the cookie or not. If that makes sense. And as opposition, it depends on whatever angle you choose to counter this.
I will accept the cookie and only crumbs. But yes, I hope that is understandable. And remember, if it's a this house as blah blah blah, remember why is it as government team? Why do you have to do it in the best interest of that actor? Like maybe the United States government, maybe the said actor person, like this house as Brad Pitt would audition for Mission Impossible, something like that. Yeah. Why is it in the best interest of Brad Pitt to audition for Mission Impossible now and not Tom Cruise anymore?
Okay, like I said earlier, scoring judges, one of the most important things. Please pay attention. Scoring judges. Next slide, please. Judge courtesy. Disagree respectfully with adjudicators or your opponents or anybody if there's any disagreement. Wait till after oral adjudication for them to give you the floor to ask questions. You have very limited time after each round. So give the 10 minutes to the adjudicators to speak and give the deliberation and feedback. After that, you may ask for personal feedback between rounds. Maybe while you're in the lobby, before waiting for the next round, you can ask them for personal feedback. If they're free enough to give it to you, they will message you. Well, are the adjudicators like here in this room?
I'm not too sure. Maybe adjudicators, if you're present in this briefing, can you just type that you're available in the chat box, like, yep, I'm here, etc.
Okay, adjudicators, a tip for all of you, don't send lengthy WhatsApp messages to everybody, just send a voice note. Because it will save everybody a lot of time. Okay, next. Do not be vindictive when marking the judges. You can raise your concern by commenting on the judge and submitting feedback. The adjudication call will take that into account. Similarly, do not hesitate to give judges high scores. Utilize the scores range explained in the following slides accordingly. Fill the feedback diligently after each round. By diligently, we mean if you do not send us the feedback, we will find you and make you give us the feedback because it's very important. It needs to be included for the tabbing system because the
Yes.
tabbing system runs the whole tournament and we need information to be complete very quickly after each round because if not, the entire tournament will be delayed.
Rakan-rakan, tolong submit feedback on time. If not, I will call out your names and y'all will feel it.
all judges present in the room, or all judges present in the room will have to deliver their own oral adjudication, so do not go anywhere until all judges have done so. If you have 3 adjudicators, okay, if we have adjudicators in a room, there's not necessarily only going to be one. They will come in odd numbers. Because if there's like 2 or 4, you can disagree and there'll be clashes. So if there are like 3, then you can have a tiebreaker. So there'll be odd numbers of adjudicators. So if there are 3 in your room, let all of them give feedback.
Actually, sorry, because we want to save time as well, the only rounds that we will have 3 edges and so forth will be the quarterfinals, semis,
Oh,
etc.
okay.
Because one, we want to save time, and secondly, it's the end power thing. So what happened is, if there is 3 judges in that room, right, only the head judge or the chair will provide feedback. But because it's already the big rounds, it's the quarterfinals, there's no need to hear the feedback from the judge. So for the in rounds, for rounds 1 until 4, you will hear the feedback from the chair, only one judge in that room, and that's about it. There won't be 3 judges in that room. Okay?
Okay, thanks, Raya, for the clarification. Okay, now to explain the score ranges. What happened to one? Okay. Are the other slides there for 1 to 8? Okay, okay. Okay. For if your edge is doing a good job, like okay, before I explain, again, request to screenshot these 3 slides. The scoring slides 10 to 1. Yeah. So if they give an extremely accurate call, reflect through precise appreciation, very meticulous assessment, if they do an overall amazing job and you feel that, okay, a simple way to look at it, if you feel that this adjudicator, based on their adjudication, oral adjudication, deserves to be in the finals, give them a 10. If you feel they deserve to be in the semi-finals, give them a 9. I mean, this is a very simple way of looking at it. Please do actually refer to the detailed explanations in the slides. But this is just, I'll give you a very quick idea of how to rate the adjudicators based on their level of perceived quality of oral adjudication. Next slide, please. Screenshot it to see later, or we'll give you the slides anyway, but you might as well screenshot it for easy reference later, because you do not want to be opening PowerPoints and PDFs during the actual debate rounds. Might as well just open the screenshots. So average is 5. Yeah, average is 5. So if the score is 5, you believe that they're absolutely 100% average. If you give them a 7, they are good. But if you give them a 6, they're just below good, above average. If you give them an 8, they're more than good. They're very good. Maybe they're quarterfinals worthy. Now for the below average scores, 1 is abysmal. Say give 1 if they entered the room and then during their adjudication they talked about something completely unrelated, or they barely said anything related to what you said or what the opponent said. They call you a slur, then that's a 1. If it's below average, just a bit below average, 4. If it's quite bad, you can give them a 3. If it's really bad, give them a 2. And if you feel they should never adjudicate again their entire life, give them 1.
Also remember to not be vindictive or vengeful of the judges when they give the feedback, right? So maybe you don't necessarily agree with what the judge says because they give you the loss for that round and you're like, ish, continue, I don't like this person anymore. I hope they suffer for life, something like that. Do not give them a 1, because if you give them a 1, I will find out from the tab master and I will find your team and I will ask the judge and I'll ask both that team who ranked that judge as a 1. I will want answers. And that will hold up the entire duration of the tournament. It will cause some backlog. We will run behind schedule and so forth. So please, for the love of God, for the love of the universe, for the love of everything that's wonderful and amazing, do not rank your judge a 1 unless they are absolutely like how do I say this nicely? That they just are incapable of ever judging again their life, and they are just not an average reasonable voter. Okay, so if you guys rank any judge 1, 2, 3, 4 in this scale, in this table, is grounds for me to start checking in as to why that is. All right, I hope everyone's clear. Do not be vindictive and make sure it is justified as to why you gave that judge so and so.
Do not only give above 5 if you win and below 5 if you lose. Be objective and be honest. Other rules. Okay, next, please. Do not write things in chat unless asking for POI. If you ask for POI, make sure it's following the current speaker's preferences. Don't write things like straw manning. Don't call people out like that in chat. It's not nice. What does straw manning mean? Feel free to Google. Straw manning is it's calling out a logical fallacy in an argument. Don't disappear without informing some member of the organization committee or the adjudication call. Please do not cheat or use the internet. I am the equity officer. I am in charge of these cases of cheating. And as like nice and friendly as I try to be, if you cheat, we will take action and we will not hold back because you have already violated the rules of the tournament and done a wrong to everybody in the tournament if you cheat. Printed materials are allowed during prep, but not during the speech. No group prepping. You may only prep with your own team. If you have any questions regarding the motions, only ask the adjudication call. Nobody else's opinion matters, not even mine. Only adjudication call. Anything else for this briefing?
For debaters, if you have like questions when the motion is released, like, hi, Ajkor, I have a question, a clarification about motion 1. Can you explain to me? About what this word means? Yep, that's completely fine. But for us to provide context of the debate of the motion is not allowed. So it's like stuff of like asking, what does this word mean? Or what does this word mean? What does this term
if like the wording is confusing or something,
But in terms of context and like the historical background, explanation of all those things, it's not for us to explain to you.
Okay, so that's the end of the debaters briefing. So thank you for sticking around. And now, okay, it's 11:07. While we prep for the equity briefing, we shall reconvene at 11:10.
Yep. Please be available for equity briefing, because more often than not, equity issues do come up in debate tournaments. That sometimes debate team calls like the other team, hey, you're stupid, the argument was stupid, you're stupid. Yeah, we don't want any kind of things like that to happen, so we will advise on how we should tackle these things. And do not call your opponent stupid lah, because that's mean. That's not mean in this tournament, okay?
So that's it for the briefing, right?
There'll be 2 more briefings. One is the equity briefing and one is the judge briefing. So debaters, you can stay tuned for both of it, so it's like that you are also aware of how our judging system works as well, okay? Hi, Ortcom or Exco of the CDZ. Can you guys open up the breakout room for the English briefing? Because we still have Okay, hi everyone. Sorry about the technical issues. Just bear with us a little bit more. We'll try to get this as done as fast as possible. I'll start sharing my slides, and then don't worry about missing out so much on it because we will provide the slides to the group chat once this is all over.
Okay, so is everybody, is it automatic, like everybody who was in the breakout room is like back in? Oh, okay, thank you.
Can you
All
see the
right,
screen?
so yeah, the next briefing is going to be the adjudicators briefing, which Suraya will handle, correct?
Oh, I'm doing the edge briefing now. Okay.
Sorry?
Okay. I thought we were doing the equity first, but it's okay. I'll do the edge briefing now.
No, I mean, I said you'll do it next.
Oh my gosh. Sorry.
It's
Sorry
okay, no
about that.
worries.
Okay. Yep. Just a moment. Mm, okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes. There's a big space above the slides.
Oh, okay. Okay. How about now?
Sama je. Okay, okay, it's better now.
Right.
Right, okay. So, thank you so much for sitting with us through the first two briefings. Now it's time for the equity briefing, which is my department. So essentially, it's very important to know. I mean, you don't have to like memorize everything about the equity policies and all, but please do be familiar with the equity information because we want to have an equitable, respectful, uh, um, smooth CDZ. Yes, hashtag treat people with kindness. Exactly. Like the entire concept of equity is in like in debate tournaments is just be a kind person and just don't do harm, pretty much. So overview of equity policy would be next slide, please. Uh yeah, I'm just gonna give Soraya a second. So CDZ 2023 is committed to providing a safe debating experience for all participants. The equity policy seeks to ensure that this is a competition which fosters equity, dignity, respect, and inclusion for social and cultural diversity. The guidance on behavior and ethical standards articulated in this policy is applicable to all debaters, adjudicators, tech members, organization committee, observers, any persons present at any given time throughout the course of the tournament. The equity policy is not exhaustive and does not include all possible breaches or remedies. In instances where the equity team is not equipped to handle any complaints, we will seek guidance from our equity consultants. If necessary, the matter will be escalated to the appropriate authorities or emergency response services. If your equity has been breached during the tournament, please contact the equity officer immediately. Upon receiving your complaint, I will undertake to conduct fact finding before issuing findings, and or taking appropriate actions. Note that this equity policy is more than just a punitive tool. We seek to play a greater role in educating the participants and preventing, most importantly, preventing equity violations from happening in the first place. If that is not possible, we seek to ensure continuous education and ensuring that parties who have breached equity learn from their mistake while working hand in hand with the council to put such parties through an accountability and rehabilitative process where possible. In doing so, we will remain conscious of the limits to our powers, abilities, and resources. So, for the concept of ethos and protected attributes, which are very important for equity, the ethos of equity would be respect and dignity, firstly. Treat others like how you want to be treated with respect to the other person's dignity and identity at all times. It is a violation of this policy to offend or harm another person in any way, shape, or form. Consent and positive language. Your behavior should be guided by obtaining consent and respecting another person's boundaries, be it during rounds or in socializing. Use positive language in your interactions. Survivor centric. In determining whether harm has been done, if there is an issue, the perspective of the survivor is taken into account. The investigation process should be done in a way that doesn't cause further harm or trauma on the survivor. Fourthly, non-victimization. Your actions should not victimize another person. The conduct of the equity team should not unfairly victimize any individuals, harm privacy, breach confidentiality, or promote persecution. And the fifth is non-retaliation. Complainants should be protected from any form of retaliation for submitting their complaints. You should not show hostility to anyone or retaliate against them for standing up for their rights. So, for protected attributes, it is a violation of the equity policy to treat individuals differently based on the basis of one or more of the protected attributes. This treatment could include, but not limited to, any of the misconduct or inequitable behaviors discussed in the next section. Where reference is made to a protected attribute, this includes imputed or perceived protected attributes and association with a person or persons with a protected attribute, such as age or age group, debating ability, language, status or proficiency, or institutional affiliation. Disability, including but not limited to past, present, and future disabilities, a genetic predisposition to a disability, and behavior that is manifestation of a disability. Gender identity, the gender-related identity, characteristics, appearance, expressions, or mannerisms. Next slide, please. Continuing, infectious disease, mental illness, or sickness. What this means is like if a person has COVID, you can't make fun of them for it. Like, actually, yeah. So in case anybody was wondering why infectious disease, marital or relationship status, political affiliations or beliefs, race, color, descent, national or ethnic origin or ethno-religious background, religious affiliation, beliefs, views or practice, sex, intersex status, sexual orientation or sexual practices, socioeconomic status and backgrounds, any other attribute where discrimination causes or perpetuates systemic disadvantage, undermines human dignity, or adversely affects the equal enjoyment of a person's rights and freedoms in a serious manner that is comparable to discrimination on a protected attribute listed above. So misconduct and inequitable behavior is essentially not being nice in various ways. But let's look at it more specifically or objectively. Next slide, please. Discrimination and subconscious bias. Essentially, do not discriminate anybody. Do not do that directly. Do not do that indirectly. And if you have any implicit biases or subconscious biases towards any protected group or any specific group of people, do not let that influence how you conduct yourself throughout this tournament. Say, like, for example, you're, I don't know, racist. Don't let me find out that you're racist. If you have bad opinions, let that be in your own head, you know? Next is bullying, intimidation, isolation, and vilification. Do not hurt, shame, degrade, humiliate, or undermine a person or group of peoples. Do not cause any party to feel threatened, alarmed, or scared for their physical, psychological, or emotional well-being. Do not attempt to exclude anybody or make them feel excluded from conversations, interactions, or activities that would otherwise be accessible to them. And do not cause public incitement of hatred, contempt, or severe ridicule to any party. Next is the concept of misgendering. So this actually is about the concept of people's pronouns, right? So for the sake of general like respect for people, you advise use gender neutral language as a default in rounds, such as using the person's debate position or maybe chair. You know, if you want to talk to the chair, you don't have to say like, "Sir, what do you think about this?" You can be like, "Chair, what do you think about this?" It's okay, it's fine. If you would like to introduce yourself with pronouns, your pronouns and whatnot, please do so. Do not feel scared or vilified or anything to do so. If anybody does make you feel threatened in any way, come to me. Um, and please respect other people's pronouns as well. Yeah. For inflammatory language, or you can also state no preference for pronouns, which is fine. Inflammatory language is the use of triggering language, especially contextually for sensitive and difficult conversations or topics or motions. Um, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you say something inflammatory that it is against the policy, the equity policy, because it might be contextually applicable, but I will be the judge of that. So essentially be kind. Do not try and hurt people in any way. Please note that there is a distinction between passionate emotive language and triggering language. So we will know if you're just being like energetic or anything, or if you're actually trying to cause harm to other people. Avoid generalizations and overly graphic language. Yeah. Okay. Sexual harassment and harassment. So sexual harassment refers to a wide range of unwanted sexual behavior, sexual advances, requests for sexual favors. There are three elements that will classify as sexual harassment: any form of unwanted or unwelcome conduct based on the perspective of the victim. Such conduct is of a sexual nature and it causes negative implications on the person harassed, such as violating the person's dignity or creating an environment which is intimidating, hostile, or humiliating for the person harassed. It comes in many forms, which may include but not be limited to verbal, non-verbal, visual, gestural, physical, psychological, and not happen just face to face but online. Sexual harassment can happen between any persons irrespective of gender identity or sexual orientation. As of harassment, it will be referred to as any unwelcome, offensive, abusive, belittling, or threatening behavior that humiliates, offends, or intimidates an individual or group on the basis of a protected attribute. Behavior that might constitute intimidation includes um, degrading public tirades, insults, deliberate insults related to a participant's person, identity, or competence, threatening or insulting comments, whether oral or written, deliberate desecration of religious and or national symbols, malicious and unsubstantiated complaints of misconduct, including harassment against others. It is important to bear in mind that when making in jokes or engaging in friendly teasing and banter, this is done in such a way that others within earshot are clear of no offense is meant or taken. Breaching debate rules. Debaters and adjudicators must treat each other and other participants with respect by respecting the rules of the competition, refraining from disrupting or distracting other debaters or adjudicators, whether through words, sounds, or conduct, accepting the decision of the majority adjudicators, refraining from insulting or non-constructive commentary on speeches or speakers, As for misuse of electronic devices, basically, if you have certain conditions or disabilities, we can make exceptions for you. So our policy is good faith. We believe that you will follow the rules. However, if we find out that you have not been following the rules, we will not hesitate to take the appropriate action. So if you are to have, sorry, if you were to have like disabilities or whatnot, or any condition that or predisposition that would generally allow you to have exemptions, such as using electronic devices for note taking, we would actually require proof, such as doctor's note diagnosis or evidence that you have been exempted before, like by university or school or whatever. Individuals using electronic devices, you can contact me to make sure that it's permitted for you to use electronic devices. And any abuses of this policy will be punished for cheating. All right. As for online tournament etiquette, don't flood any of the platforms that we use, WhatsApp, Discord, Zoom. Don't use unnecessary commentary or excessive commentary. I mean, you can have banter, but don't disrupt anybody. Naming policy and camera is please name yourself in accordance with the instructions given by the organizing committee. Turn on the camera at all times. If it's not possible, let whoever's in charge of wherever you are know. Double judging. Judges are expected to be exclusively judging at VC. Oops, sorry, the text. For CDZ 2023, judges who are found to be judging for other competitions at the same time will be subject to investigation. This may lead to qualification, revocation of break status, or the forfeiture of subsidy. You cannot um, impersonate or assume anybody's identity or steal anybody's identity. You cannot pretend to be anybody else in any capacity at any point during the tournament. POIs, like I said before, please respect the preferences of the speakers. Online debating is different from physical debating. There are differences. Please please communicate with your teammates, your opponents, your adjudicators, the organizing committee, the support team accordingly and with respect in general. Just don't disrupt anything and be kind, be nice. We fully expect participants to be considerate with what they write on social media. Do not attack individuals personally or leak results from close rounds. The equity team reserves the right to use what is published on social media as a source to support any investigation process. Complaint channel and resolution process. This is very important. Please take note of this. If there are any issues, you need to know this. Raising an equity complaint. Complaints may be raised with me, the equity officer, regarding breach of policy at any time during the duration of the tournament. I am not adjudicating. I am also emceeing, so I will be in the lobby. So you can see me in the lobby, or you can WhatsApp me. My number is at the end of this presentation. You can WhatsApp me, or you can contact me on Discord if you've already entered the Discord. So I will treat all complaints as confidential, and the complainant will determine whether or not a complaint will be investigated further. You can make complaints anonymously or non-anonymously. If you make it anonymously, it may hinder our ability to investigate. But if you make it non-anonymously, I mean, that is up to you because your identity is the one that is being revealed. The resolution mechanism. Okay, basically, this is more important for me than you, but it's included anyway. You may read through this during the slides when they're given later, but essentially, I will follow due process to resolve any equity problems in this tournament. If your problem is with me, then you can speak to Suraya, because it is important to have a check and balance and accountability for everybody. So just because I'm in charge of complaints doesn't necessarily mean that there's no accountability for me as well. So contact details and profile of the equity team. To create and maintain a safe debating environment, report instances of actual and suspected breaches of policy. Our ability to deal with these violations depends on your cooperation and official complaints. Okay, so if you need to contact the equity team for the equity officer for any clarification or guidance, Soraya, if you could just correct my name, it's spelled with a V.
I have tried to edit the slides, but it's just not letting me. So yeah, it's spelled with a V, guys, not a W. So let's also respect of how people's names are spelled, given by their parents, and you don't want to disrespect them or their parents with their name that they've been given. No, nama bapa disalahgunakan. So let's not have that, okay? So make sure to address debaters or judges or whoever from the ORCOM with the right name given, or yeah. Otherwise, it could be an equity issue.
Oh, alternatively, or if you could just call me Yash, Yash, Yash. I think that would be easier. So that's my phone number, 016-217-5985. I would recommend, can you go back, please? Okay, I would recommend everybody save my number right now. And use on Discord, you can use this channel. Wait, how do everyone? Okay. You can use this channel to contact me at any time during the tournament. Just checking, can somebody can Sraya maybe, can somebody react to the Ask Equity? I just want to check whether it's everyone can see it.
Yeah, can everyone see the chat box where Ash has put in the channel for Us Equity? Yep, okay, I see some reactions to that. Cool. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Let me just put my phone number in the chat as well so you can copy paste it. Okay, so that's my phone number. Yeah, please save my number right now.
I'll give you guys the link to the Discord group. We have sent it in the email for the private URL for the Tabby as well, the Discord link. So also on top of checking whether your teams have received the private URL, make sure that the link for the Discord is also there. But if it's not there, then you message in the group or let the ORCOM know that you guys did not receive your Tabby Cat links, you guys did not receive the link for Discord group, etc. Okay? Just to know that you guys have already joined the much needed groups to get information.
Yeah.
So please check your email, maybe when under spam, ask your teachers if they've received any emails. So maybe your teachers might have email in their spam. And that email has the respective links to the groups. Okay? Yash, is there anything else, or are there any other questions?
Yeah, wait, in the Discord, right?
Okay, while that's going on, just a reminder to everyone, to both the judges, the equity officer, MCs, etc., and to the debaters, remember that this tournament consists of both legal adults and minors, right? So we want to create a safe space for these, for you guys, minors who are under the age of 18, because we don't want to have any boundaries crossed or breached. And this is a very harmful thing for you guys because you guys are under the age of 18. And we will have to be liable for whatever happens to you in the tournament. We don't want to have any harm or damage caused towards you. So remember to not do anything morally questionable in this tournament. Like for example, maybe vice versa, a minor and a legal adult exchanging contact information of like, hey, can I follow you on Instagram? I think that's fine to do it after the tournament, but throughout the tournament, it is advisable that you don't do that because that's a little weird. So remember to know where your boundaries lie and to remember that this space is inclusive of people of different ages, and let's respect that.
Okay, so for the Discord, if you have joined, I've just added a new text channel within the auditorium section called roll call. So once everybody in your team is within the Discord, I would like to request for every a representative from every team to let us know what institution you are from and that everybody has entered the Discord. So we can use the same text channel throughout the tournament as well for the roll calls. Sorry,
Okay. Sorry, Yash, can you come again? Can you repeat what you mentioned? Sorry.
Okay, in the Discord, I
Mm-hmm.
made a text channel called roll call.
Yep,
So that now, like today, everybody can let us know that everybody from their institution, their whole team, has already entered the Discord, and we
Mhm.
can use it for the future roll calls before the rounds as well.
That's possible. Also, like we will have to do roll call in the main hall before the round start. That's standard procedure. But also roll call can take place. Okay, for example,
Maybe the
maybe
morning roll call or something.
someone is stuck in traffic, right? And then they say, okay, I'll be late for a roll call. You guys can inform in the Discord channel for the roll call. Okay, I hope that I hope that makes sense. There's a question about whether parents or friends or close ones can join the debate as spectators. Can, but debaters, keep in mind if you guys have spectators or observers, make sure when they join the Zoom panel or the Zoom room, they rename themselves as observer. There's no need for a name, there's no need for any room number. Make sure they rename themselves as observer and they can join to watch the Zoom. However, bear in mind that if one of the teams does not consent to having spectators or observers in the room, they are not allowed to watch it. The same also, there will be no recording if teams do not consent to recording. There will be no photo taking if teams do not consent to photo taking. So, judges will also have to keep in mind that consent from the teams is much needed, whether they allow observers, whether they allow photo and video taking, okay? Hope that's clear for everyone. Maybe a thumbs up of reaction or a verbal yes. Because we do not want somehow people silently recording or taking photos of this debate, and then the word gets out that they've been recorded, and this is a breach of privacy, and that is already grounds for equity. And then if this is the case, if say parents are silently recording or silently taking photos of the debate, and we do find out, the parents will then also have to be involved in the equity process, and we don't want that. So for your debaters, if your parents or your friends want to join, they can observe, but we will also have to consent whether video and photos are allowed during the debate. Okay. And make sure the parents also keep their mic and camera off because parents sometimes leave their mic open and the camera open, and then they're just walking around in the background, and it's a bit distracting during the debate because it's parents thing. I get it. But yes, make sure you guys share the information with your parents, your friends, or whoever that may want to show up. about the consent thing, about changing their names, and they're not allowed to join if the teams do not consent to it. Okay? I hope that's clear.
Yeah, essentially just be mindful. Is there anything else on the slides?
That's another question.
Oh,
Talk to me about my team members. Arrangement in Discord is not up to date. Okay, so if it's team members arrangement, members arrangement meaning your team lineup, is it like who's first, second, and third speaker? This is just for everyone's transparency's sake, that in case you guys have the same question but you're a bit too shy to ask. Team members arrangement. I'm assuming it's a team lineup, which speaker role you are. I have two teams members lineup. Okay. I think that is up. Okay, you have teams. The members lineup are jumbled up. Okay. That is up to you guys on how you want to establish the teams. That is your call on who goes into team A, into team B. Once you've finalized that, then okay, about the team lineup, right? Because we've already sent out the Discord link, Tabby Cat link. And that means the judges will already have names of the team members. Send this last Saturday. I would believe that your teams would have to be finalized already because we have already established the team members in each respective teams. This will be easier for judges to then rate you guys on speaker scores. So please help me, help yourself. Please finalize the teams. We will not look into this after 3 p.m. Make sure your teams are finalized before anything else. Otherwise, the tab master will have a headache and his head will explode because there's a lot of teams and he has a family too, and he's on a mid-term break and he needs to know whether the teams are finalized. So there has to be some readjustments for the BCAT link. Okay. Are there any teams here whose teams are not finalized?
just in
I
case,
have a
like the
question because one of our team members couldn't make it, so my teacher replaced with me, and thus we've already registered and everything. But the link that was given for each individual, for me, is still my friend's name who couldn't make it.
Okay, Yash, maybe you should take note of that and let Arif know about the links. Also, maybe can you type your name in the chat box as well for our understanding who it might be?
and your friend's name.
Yeah. So for those who are having tabby cat access issues, etc., finalizing issues, etc., please type it in the chat box to Yashvin. And again, we won't send each individual a private URL. We only send one URL for the whole team to share. This is to ensure that everyone judges fairly, and also it's for the sake of convenience as well that only representative submits the feedback, so as to not produce any confusion during submitting ballots, submitting feedbacks, and so forth. Okay, I hope everyone is clear.
Oh, I think I left out a piece of information during the briefing.
Mm-hmm.
If what you mean is which person does which speaker role, that is totally up to you. However, if you have the first speaker, second speaker, and third speaker, the third speaker is not allowed to do the reply speech. Only the first or second speaker.
Yep, everyone take note of that. Only the substantive speakers, speaker 1 and speaker 2, is allowed to do reply speech. And as soon as opposition whip finishes their speech, the reply speech will start immediately. There'll be no prep time for reply speech. I think the old method was that's a 1 minute time for reply speech for both teams, right? But because I believe that everyone here is skillful in debating and reply speeches are starting immediately after the whip speech. So after up whip, we'll have the up reply then to take the floor. Okay? So to ask the judge for like, sorry judge, can we have like a minute for spring reply? No, we will not cater to that. Because that's just standard debating rules. Yeah, so I really truly hope that most teams, if not all teams, have already finalized their team members and so forth, because we have to already finalize the Tabbycat URLs and to ensure that judges can identify which team member is in which team so that we can rate you guys accordingly. Okay? I think that's all so far. Do you guys have any other questions?
Suraya, I can't copy paste the text from the chat box.
Maybe you just take a photo.
Oh, okay, fair.
Yeah. Okay, if there's no other questions, I'll go on to the edge briefing, yeah?
Are there any other slides? Oh, okay.
The edge slides, the last one.
Okay, so that's yeah, okay, now Suraya will continue with the last briefing of the day. Not much longer left, don't worry. Suraya, the floor is yours.
Okay, hi everyone. Are these slides visible?
Yep.
Slides are visible. Okay. Just a second. All right, cool. I'll try to make this as brief as possible. It's mostly for the edges, but for debaters, you guys can pay attention so you can get an idea of how we do our education. And also, you know, if you ever have the opportunity to edge, this could come in handy for you, right? Okay, let's see. All right, so how debates work. Okay, this is pretty standard. We all know how the debate rules are: PM to LO, PM to DLO, upwit to upwit, and then the reply from up and like off. Yeah. So judges, make sure you note of who is PM, who is LO in that round. Make sure that you identify before the debate starts. Make sure judges you identify who is which speaker role. You ask the speakers, type in the chat box, okay, team A, this is our prime minister, this is our DPM, this is our government. Yeah, so I hope that's clear. This is to ensure that when you submit the ballot for the round, can easily fill up the names into the speaker role positions. And say, for example, Ahmad, he was PM. Okay, yep, I'll fill up Ahmad as PM in the PCAT link. Okay. The same for the reply speech. There'll be a slot in the Tabicat that you get to fill up for who's doing the reply speech. So please take note also of who is doing the reply speech as well. Okay. And then types of motions, which was explained earlier. Edge roles. Okay, so this will not go into the timing of that. Okay. Basically, judges, you guys are not supposed to continue writing after 7 minutes. Once the 7 minutes mark has been reached, you guys have to stop writing. Anything after 7 minutes that is debated, that is explained by the debater, you're not allowed to take note. It's advisable that you don't take note because you have gone over the time limit, and yeah, anything after that is just not taken into account.
Suraya, I have a question.
Yo.
Are we using like bells or claps or what?
There'll be a video time keep share screen.
Will it ding?
Sir, I'm so sorry for cutting you off, but the organizer have asked you guys to speed things up because we are supposed to end at 12 and we still have one ceremony left with pictures taking. So I hope you guys can hurry up. Sorry.
Yeah. I'll try to make this as fast as possible. Thank you again. So yeah, after 7 minutes there'll be no note taking, etc. And debaters make sure do not go over 7:50 at the most. Yeah. And there is 3 types of edges, chair, panelists, and trainee, but we do not have trainee for this. We'll have chair and panelists in the quarterfinals and so on. But in the 5 preliminary rounds, it's just 1 chair. Okay. Managing the room, you're in charge. You must maintain order. If put time on POIs or speeches, you are allowed to stop them. You can stop disruptive people, and you can decide when people can start their speeches. So for judges, you can turn on your mic and say that Prime Minister, the floor is yours. Deputy Prime Minister, the floor is yours. But it's also subjective to Speaker of the House if there is. So if the Speaker of the House says, okay, Prime Minister, the floor is yours, etc., then you can start the speech. Okay. How to judge. An average reasonable person, your expert knowledge should contribute to your decision. Any examples that you can see find in news is fine. Judge debate based on what you saw and not the debate you wanted or what you expected. So do not decide the verdict based on which argument you like the most, and do not decide the win based on which argument you yourself would have run, because this you may have had debating experience before. You may have known what kind of case or argument you have run. That's fine, but in terms of judging, you should not do that. Do not use on which argument you would have run. You should not use all these methods, and do not put yourself into the shoes of the debater. Strength of argument based on what the debater said and not the potential it could have caused. So do not complete arguments or impacts for the teams. So say for example, team A government says, okay, nut butter is better than jam because nut butter has protein value. You do not come into the debate in the feedback round nanti. Do not come into the debate saying that you guys should have said that nut butter has more protein because it comes from like a peanut source, blah blah blah. So your job isn't to complete the arguments or impacts for the team. It is merely weighing out what the debate was and how it went, and not what you wish it went or how you would yourself have run it. Okay. So, for example, this house would not grant amnesty to defecting or returning ISIS fighters. I'm not sure why this is here though. Okay, anyways, do not award squirreling. So teams must have a burden of proof. The best way to judge is to try to write down as much as you can for reference data, group arguments to different clashes or themes. This debate is addressed by both sides. Value arguments for each clash and decide who wins and why. The team who wins the most clash is normally the winner. Okay. How to score. Okay, so speaker scoring. Judges, please, 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 for the love of God, be fair when rating the speakers in the scoring system, right? So the range is 65 to 85. It is very rare for debaters to get 80 and above. But if there is a speaker worth of 80 and above, then by all means you can do that. But this range of scoring is UADC format. So we will follow the UADC format of judging of speaker scoring, which is 65 to 85, right? Okay, so 65 to 69, minimum contribution, did not provide any substantive arguments, did not progress the debate. It was a pretty lousy debate, you would say, and there wasn't much expansion on the arguments. It was very brief. You did not get anything, and yeah, it's reasonable to be a 65, 69, but we'll still be raising eyebrows as to why it's such a low score, but we will trust your judgment as well. However, is that if there is a complaint of debate teams wondering why is my score 65 to 69, it'll be an equity issue, and we don't want that, right? So 70 to 73, this happens. A below average speech. Speaker gave cohesive arguments, but did not help progress the debate in a tangible way. Arguments are very undeveloped and not convincing. It is sometimes repetitive. It's going in circles, and you just cannot understand what they're trying to say. It's very touch and go of an argument, but it was not well expanded. And before the 76 is an average speech. Speaker contributed substance and progressed the debate. Arguments were decently developed. Okay, so that's an average speech, 74 to 76. Next is 77 to 79. So that's a pretty good speech. Speaker contributed to the team's case and progressed the debate. Arguments are well developed and clear.
P32, very good speech. They contributed a lot to the debate. And speaker was clear in how they organized their arguments. Arguments were very well developed, full of logical links, relevant examples, and no assumptions. So relevant examples meaning like real world examples, examples rooted in realism and not what if examples, imagine examples, etc. So that's what we mean by relevant examples and no assumptions. Okay. 83 to 85 is the best speech you've heard in your life. You'll make a grown man cry. You probably wouldn't be the same after the speech. You're so touched. You can feel the earth move. You can see like birds sing. Like rainbows are everywhere. It's sparkly everywhere. Yeah, that's like life changing, and you'll never be the same again. For a Thai speech, normally the score of that certain speaker. So Ahmad, he's rated a 75 in that speech for his argument in the first speaker round. For example, Ahmad's Prime Minister, he gave a speech, judge rates him 75. When he does his reply speech, 75 divided by 2. So that will be the reply speech score. Okay. So the winning team total speaker scores must be more than the losing team speaker scores. About this, judges, if you say it is a good debate, it's a close debate, but then the margin difference between the winning team and the losing team is more than 3 points, okay, I will fine you because there's no reason for it to say it's a close debate, it's a good debate, but the score difference is more than 2 or 3. I will find you, will hunt you down, and I will need explanation why you gave the score such a big difference if you say such a good debate. So if it's a very close debate, normally you want the margin difference of score to be like 1 to 2 points. That's a close debate. I will credit that. If it's anything more than that, I will find you and I will hunt you down. Do not do that. Edge scoring just are scored by the participants as well as by the chair. So give feedback to the panelists and trainees, but there's no trainees in this case. So chairs, head judges, if you are head judge for the quarterfinals and so forth, give feedback to your fellow panelists, your fellow judges, score your judges based on the scale of 1 to 10. So we have 1 to 4. Maybe a trainee, do not go anywhere, you suck. 5 to 6, average judge. Should panel debates, 7 to 8, above average judge should chair debates, good job, good job. And 9 to 10, excellent judge, worthy of chairing the finals. And it's the best that you can achieve. Also similarly for debaters, when you give your feedback to the judges, make sure to score fairly, not be vindictive, do not be angry like, ew, your face sucks, ew, I hate your education, ew, I hate you for life. Don't give unreasonable judging scores on that because I will also find you. I will find people. Okay. So OA judges. Okay, we will not do 15 minutes. Sorry, this we will cut this short because also. Okay, job. Share screen. Just a second, you guys. Okay. I'll try to make this as quick as possible. This is the last slide for today before we do our photo session. Okay, cool. Right. So 10 minutes to decide on the winner. And okay, 10 minutes to decide on the winner and provide feedback. So judges, you go to your breakout room or you just mute your mic and turn off your camera and then you just decide whether who wins and loses the debate. Take 10 minutes to decide. Any more than 10 minutes, the YDP, the Speaker of the House or time people will come in and intervene. 10 minutes are up, so please provide your feedback now. And judges, do not take more than 10 minutes to provide the feedback to the debaters. Any more than 10 minutes, I will come and intervene. Any more than 10 minutes, timekeeper will say time's up, please return the main hall, okay? So as general as possible and not as general as possible, try to be elaborate as well, okay? The 4A, general comments on the debate, general comments on each team, give the verdict, give comments on each speaker and agenda room, okay? For personal feedback, debaters, you can reach out to the dedicated for that round for personal feedback on possibly like how can you expand this argument, what was missing, etc. Okay. I think that pretty much sums it up. So just keep your feedback short and sweet, or else I will hunt you down as well. A lot of hunting down today lah. A lot of hunting down for the next few days. So don't make me hunt you down, or it won't end well for everyone, and we'll be delaying the tournament. Okay, so that's about it. I think we can proceed to the photo ceremony. Or come, are you there? Thank you, everyone. All right, so thank you, everyone. Thank you, Debate Club, for explaining everything. Now, let us all go back to the main room for the photo ceremony.
Alhamdulillah. Selesai sudah taklimat peserta yang disampaikan oleh pihak unit perucapan umum, pihak Debate Club UKM serta Exco Program dan Kehakiman. Diharapkan kepada semua peserta mengambil cakna atas setiap maklumat yang disampaikan oleh pihak jawatan kuasa Cabaran Debat Za'ba. Sekiranya terdapat sebarang persoalan atau sebarang kemusykilan, anda boleh terus berhubung dengan pihak kami.
Hadirin sekalian, dengan berakhirnya seksi taklimat sebentar tadi, maka berakhirlah majlis pembukaan cabaran debat Za'ba 2023. Saya, mewakili jawatan kuasa cabaran debat Za'ba 2023, ingin memohon maaf sekiranya terdapat tutur kata yang menyinggung hati mana-mana pihak. Sekalung budi dan penghargaan terima kasih diucapkan kepada semua peserta dan guru-guru atas kehadiran dan kerjasama yang diberikan.
Merdu bertingkah alunan suara, kadang tak sedar tersilap kata, andai terlanjur patah bicara, serendah hati kemaafan dipinta. Sekian terima kasih.
Diminta kepada semua peserta untuk mengaktifkan kamera dan bersedia bagi sesi bergambar sebentar lagi. Jika semua sudah bersedia, AJK Technical akan mengambil gambar dalam kiraan 1, 2, 3. Sekali lagi. 1, 2, 3. Akhir sekali. 1, 2, 3. Baiklah, dengan tamatnya sesi fotografi sebentar tadi, maka berakhirlah majlis pembukaan cabaran Debat Za'ba 2023 pada hari ini. Sekian, terima kasih. Hadirin boleh meninggalkan ruangan Zoom.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Thank you.